so they can all watch our.
This meeting
Hey
is
everyone, welcome to the Sharon the Red Baron show. I am Sharon with my special guest, Miss Jill Wood. I love it.
Hi.
Look at her hat. Hi, thank you, Jill.
God
Well,
win.
listen, guys, the reason he already did, we're just waiting. So,
Already won.
but I wanted to share with everyone why I started this channel. For me, I've just been really fascinated by everyone's great awakening stories. I mean, it's here. I can't stop saying that. People are awakening all over the world, whether they are seeing and feeling things, signs, synchronicities, waking up politically, maybe getting out of corporate religion and all that. It's happening. And I'm super, super excited. I'm just fascinated by listening to everyone's stories because I think everyone's story matters, if that makes sense. And one thing I've learned from people's stories is it gives me an outside perspective of sometimes when I feel like my mind is like this until things just start kind of expanding my mind a little. So thank you, Miss Jill. And thank you. I don't have my Trump hat on because it's in my Jeep right now.
I know I had to decide, but I'm like, there's nothing better than God wins. It all goes hand in hand. I had to wear the God wins hat. So
I love it. I love it. I love it. Like I said, we were talking before we started this, and I like to put it on out here in Park City because it's like the one county in the entire state that's so far left. So I just walk around with my Trump hat on.
I do too. I love it. I mean, I where was I? Oh, I was at Trader Joe's, and I had a pray hat on. I mean, it was the Jennifer Mack. If you go on her website, of the awesome stuff, right? Oh, that's where I got my junior.
I love it, my junior. Mr. T in the background.
Right. Oh, then you got Mr. T, and I got
love it.
T. So yeah.
Oh my gosh, I should get some for my windows so no one will break in. Because I was going to get a big head of my pit bull Lulu in the window because I just saw one and I thought they were so cute.
Well, they have where you can have the Trump like riding and your passenger on the back. I haven't done that yet, but he's like riding
I love it. We'll take the tops off my Jeep and Melania can jump in too, and Baron and everyone.
Yeah, that would be fast. We could have Barron in there. We could have Trump. Well, Dan Scavino. We can have Junior. All of them. Like,
shove them all in my Jeep. And we'll go for a ride on the road less traveled down the road from me. Like legit, there's a road called the road less traveled down from me.
Oh, well, we gotta travel that one then and make it more
beautiful that way. Although I'm not gonna lie, I heard some of the Rockefeller family and stuff owned some houses out there. So to me, I'm like, ew. But the interesting is tons of those houses are for sale in the mountains now.
So well, go figure. I think that's what we're gonna start to see. We're gonna see, some collapsing of the real estate. It's going to start causing a little plummet here in the market. And then the silver's going to go up and the gold's going to go up and the mining's going to go up. And we're going to see that shift happen into the digital currency space.
I love it. It's funny you just talked about the mines because here are some of the original mining ledgers that no one has seen. And I'm thinking I'm going to start digging into them over the weekend. But there's a lot of good names: Bluebird,
no pun intended,
Beehive, Anaconda. There's one section that Glenn and his uncle this past summer, they met with some of the historical society, and they took out the big map that no one's ever seen. And the guy was like, "We've never seen this area," and it's Snake Creek area, which that alone just.
And it's called Anaconda,
right? Anaconda don't want. I know. I knew you were going to say that.
And it's Valentine's Day. It's perfect.
Oh, I don't grass. Oh my gosh, I want to pee my pants. I got plenty of fun. I'm trying to get back in shape, but I digress. Oh my gosh. Well,
Hey, oh my
listen.
gosh. Yes.
Oh, no, freaking menopause. Don't even get me going. I'm just glad I made it. I can't wait for the women to find out that is just the meanest trick in being, what's the word I want to look for? Experimented on. Because that was
Yeah.
not supposed to happen to us. Because the women in
No,
biblical
med
times were having babies at like 800 years old.
oh, ooh, then we'll get it back. We'll get that back, you
Yeah.
know? I mean, I just did a Facebook thing and it said I'm supposed to have 50 children.
Ouch! Oh, I was gonna
You know, it's
say.
one of those, like, Facebook things that you go on there and it's like, "How many
Oh
children are
yeah.
you gonna have?" And it's like, it's
I've
silly,
never
but
done
I was like
those.
I always
Although
click
I
on
love
those.
that one that popped up with the different queens and princesses that I attached you and Tracy on, like the pictures with your face in there. I thought that was really cute. Because it would scare me what they would come up with for me. They'd be like, psycho killer from New Hampshire. I'm not,
Yeah,
just so you know, I'm not, but because
right.
everyone takes everything literal these days.
Oh
You gotta
gosh,
be
I
careful.
know. They'll just, like, yeah, they'll snip it out and just use that part.
Losers. Their time's coming. I can't wait.
I
I'm
know.
not gonna, I'm gonna try to keep it PG-13. So when I get really riled up, my go-to, and it's not a swear word, but I like to say pieces of shit. So if I say that, I
Mhm.
apologize in advance.
Yeah, we meant, like,
We'll just have to
yes.
come up with new swear words, just so. I think
I
the kids
know.
need
Well,
it. I
I
wrote that to
call
the
it
Punisher. I wrote that to the
you
Punisher like years ago.
you did?
Eric, we're like emailing back and forth, and I'm like, and we have to come up with new swear words. So we got to get the children involved because it's really, really trashy, and we got to let their imagination. Anyhow, I digress. But yeah,
That's
it's pretty
hilarious.
funny.
Well, I told that's what I said. I said we're gonna it's called speakanese, and we make up our own words, and we can just,
I love
like,
that. I want to
we
write
do
that down. Speaking of,
speakanese.
like that. Oh my god. Okay, you're gonna
Speakanese,
like
like,
totally
whatever
get
I
me. You're gonna get me off track because you're so funny, and I do appreciate this. Okay, so my question to you is: are you a believer in science? And do you have a quick, short
Oh,
story that you can share with everyone that you were just like, oh, I can't make this stuff up?
well, I've seen them my whole life, you know, and I believe now, I mean, it's really apparent. My mom always talked to me about the Bible, you know, and that there would be a lot of things happening. And I thought, well, that just sounds so barbaric, but I see signs all the time. I see them in numbers. I saw them even before, like, I met Michael in -48 and learned, like, oh my God, there is so much more behind the numerology. And I realize now what was kept from us. So that was a huge sign there that,
Oh my
you know,
gosh. Mhm.
I knew it. I knew there were meanings behind the numbers I was seeing. And I lost my brother in the year 2000. He was in a car accident. And
I'm
after
so
that, I swear I
sorry.
would see 1111 all the time.
You
And,
couldn't get a
you
better
know,
number. I'm just saying.
I know.
I'm so
And
sorry.
his birthday is 2/16, February 16th, so it's in a couple days. But,
Oh.
I would see 2/16 all the time, but then it's ironic because -48, when you do -4/8, it's 2/16. So, or no, -4/8
Oh.
5 if it's the 4 and the 8, but when you spell it out, 48, -48, it's 2/16 also. So, they're just I mean, I'm
Oh.
seeing a lot of signs, and, like, I would look up things around when I first started doing some gematria too that really showed me the signs, and it all tied in together, and I was like, "Holy moly, this is" because I
So
knew the truth because I was doing my own life,
so can
you
you
know?
explain
So
to
that was
people what yeah, can you explain to people what gematria is? Because I remember when I first started learning it, I'm like, no, there's no way, blah, blah, blah. Oops, sorry, someone's messing with me.
yes.
Um, and
So, I mean,
I
gematria a lot of people haven't learned it, obviously, or heard about it. And I hadn't heard about it until, well, when 2020 had happened, and then finally, was listening to a lot of the truth. And then I heard Tom numbers, and then I heard Michael. And I was like, oh my God, like this language, it's so tied in, which A equals 1, B equals 2, C equals 3, all the way to Z, 26 letters in the alphabet, Z equals 26. And then when start off with letters, you just learn the letters and you're like, okay, what do these mean? And like 9 means most high, 8, is infinite. And you learn, the favorite numbers and God's letters and God's language. If we all learned this way, then we would all speak the same language. So this is where I think
I
we've been
love what you
separated.
just said. I love that you
You know,
just said that. I dig it.
think about they've kept us divided, like even through the countries and different languages, and we cannot speak to one another, which is why I like speakinese.
Because I
But
love what you just said, because ever since I was a little girl, I always wondered why we all spoke different languages. It was just it was another barrier for us to not communicate in a
yes,
way.
right. And it's
Yeah.
like, and really, it's one language, and it's the language of love. And
And it's
if we
Valentine's
all,
Day today.
yeah, I guess this worked out perfect, because I was like, when we
I
planned this,
think
I was like,
so.
oh my gosh, it's Valentine's Day
I
today.
didn't even think
And I
about
probably,
that. Sorry.
yeah, we're making dinner. We're gonna make fillets.
Oh, num
But
nums,
but
nums. That's
that's how I figured
crazy.
out a lot of things that was going on was through gematria. But that's, if people learn the simple part of it, just learning the alphabet, which turns obviously into words turn into sentences. And then when you look at, a sentence through Gematrinator, or if you use gematrix.org to start out with, you can see the meaning of it. And then you start typing in other things that mean the same thing. And you're like, oh my God, like it all breaks down to the same thing. And it
Yes.
all interconnects. And you'll start to do your name, and you start to do the date you were born. You start to do your family members. You start to do your life, your maiden name, who you were born to be, the time you were born, all this stuff. And it starts to tell you everything,
I know,
which
it's like
is,
your own personal tarot. That's how I like to explain to people, because it's hard for them to wrap their head around. But when I say it's kind of like your own personal tarot reading from the big guy upstairs, right?
well, it is. And if
I
you
did.
look at like A through Z, when you add it all up, equals 351, right? So you add 1 to 2, plus 2 plus 3, all the way to 26. When you add all those letters and numbers together, it equals 351. So God communicates through numbers, equals 351. The
I love
manifestation
it.
of Jesus Christ. 351. I mean, you look up all the 351s, and
I
it all ties into God communicating to you. So
I
that
love it.
is the key. It's that simple.
It
And it's
really
all this
is. I
device.
overthought it a ton. And for people that
It's
watch
so
this,
simple.
it's so simple. It spells it out for you, literally.
It, I mean, really, like you look at how we've all been divided, and like they've tried to divide through, races, through religions, through,
Labels.
yeah, everything. And really, it's Team Jesus or Team Lucifer. It's pick a side. It's very, very easy. Do you want to be good, or do you want to choose the side of bad? Like, it's not that hard. And the majority of people are good. And what they didn't want us to know, the evil did not want us to know, is how powerful we are when we all do speak our one language, which is the language of love through God wins.
That's right,
And that
girlfriend. Hi, Mr.
it
T. I'm
really
still
is
waving
that
at you.
simple. Yeah. Yes.
It is.
He is.
So can I
It
share
is.
with you? I love it. So the way I came up with an explanation for gematria, when I mean, I literally talk to people on the street if I have a connection, and we kind of get into this talk. And how I like to explain it is, we all know AI listens to us. They're watching us right now. Hi. And
Mhm.
they can hear our
Hi, AI.
thoughts. Hi, everyone. And but so AI reads our thoughts, and so many people just pass it off like, oh, that ad just popped up, but I didn't say it out loud. And they don't think about it anything after that. But how I like to explain it is, so you got the evil AI pieces of garbage, and then you have God speaking to you in numbers. Which one do you want to listen to more? I say gematria.
And yes. Think AI, artificial intelligence. God is the
Mhm.
real intelligence. He is the real deal. He is the
Yeah.
one we listen to, not the artificial stuff.
Piece of
So
garbage.
it's about the behind that,
Yeah. He's
So
toast anyhow.
it's
Those
so
bad. Mhm. They're
they
bad.
are. They're
They're
toast. Get
toast.
Mo for
They're done.
Well, how many times has Trump said central casting?
I know. Oh my gosh. And people will think, I just think it's so funny because here we're in like year 4 and people still don't dig. Although I'm gonna admit, I think that the energies are right where they need to be. I feel it. Like my crown chakra has been burning
Oh
for
yeah.
days now. Days. But I
I
digress. I'm
know.
sorry.
Have you felt really have you felt like super tired lately?
Oh my gosh. With the Schumann resonance, I noticed some things here and there, but this past week has kicked my butt. And today's the first day I feel much better, where I feel like I'm back to myself, you know,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
Satan. I'm
Well,
like,
I a lot of people who have I've talked to lately, they're like, "What is it?" I'm like, "It's just I've just heard it is the Schumann resonance and it's ascending and and we're all energy. So it's this vibration of energy. And I'm sure a lot of people were so excited after the Super Bowl and seeing a lot of the comms there and Usher coming out wearing the Phoenix on his shirt. Did you see that, which
I don't,
represents
I don't watch,
XRP?
I don't watch football. I don't really watch
Oh
sports.
no.
I know.
I
But
watched
I
that
always used to love
over
watching it for the
the
advertising because I love the commercials. So I thought I heard there were 2 Jesus commercials this year. Is that right? Was there two
Yeah.
Jesus commercials? Oh,
Yes.
I'll have to look those up.
There were, and they talked about like how Jesus washed feet, and I was like, I think the message, and I really believe this, and this is one thing that when the Punisher has his podcast too, it's about love,
Yep.
and I'm glad they're at least running Jesus commercials, like it took a lot just to get those commercials run,
That's a
and
good point.
people were
Yeah.
starting to pick it apart because like Jesus, even though he washed feet, he washed the feet of the disciples. But it's like at least, let's have a good message. We don't want to pick it apart and start,
Yeah.
saying something negative about everything. It just lowers the
Ugh.
vibration. It's like, we're gonna
That's
take
why they
everything back.
kept doing it. That's why they kept doing it.
Yeah.
Now everyone knows their little secret,
Right.
right? Do
Yes.
you have a puppy?
Right.
Do you have a
Oh, I
puppy?
held my no,
Oh, I was gonna get
have
all
a
excited. I
cat.
love the dog. Oh, and I like cats too. I love all
Black
animals.
cats. And Ty, he cries whenever we go in the kitchen for snacks. Do you have a dog?
I do. I have two rescues, Miss Lulu and Miss Daisy. You're frozen on me. Oh, there you are. Okay, you froze on me. I love it. So I
Yeah,
love
I
that.
know. I noticed it's kind of the whole time there's like this downloading Microsoft 365 Office update while I'm talking to you.
Of course, losers.
Did it freeze?
Microsoft.
Yes.
I
Oh,
actually took them. I took their stuff.
friend.
I have not used Google. I have not used Excel or anything. I found other alternatives. I'm like, I don't want them watching me. They're all pieces of garbage. Sorry, I
What do you
digress.
use? How do
Um,
you what do you use?
well, I just go into my notes and I just type what I need to, and usually it's through an email or something like that. Or if I need documents and I come up with my own documents and so forth, I go right to the Canva app because they have everything there. It's kind of cool, and you can get creative.
Oh,
Yeah, so I like that. But thank you for explaining gematria because I think
I just
people,
saw something pop up that said low bandwidth.
yeah, you're kind of freezing on me.
It's postponed. It is.
Oh,
It like it postponed. So
Okay, because they're watching us and they have to make sure that Sharon doesn't have a potty mouth. Probably.
right.
Don't worry, I won't say the F word, I promise. That's when I get really mad. And then like the nice Sharon just disappears. It's kind of crazy. But so
Yeah, I don't have
let me
patience.
ask you, and another thing I wanted to add to your gematria. So, and I love this, and I'm going to encourage all of you to do this when you start going out. When people see our military, the guys that have retired and women that have retired, and I noticed that I always thank them for their service. And there's been a few times where I've had someone with me trying to explain gematria, and they're like, and so sure enough, I thank them for their service, and I ask them, I say, is gematria real? And they're like, yep. And I'm like, see, did you hear that? And so I explained to them, it's high-ranking military codes that they don't want the general public to see. But when people know how to decode, then they can start connecting a lot of the dots. And then they're going to be like, oh my goodness gracious. It's so cool. Like my
Well,
magic number is 420, and it has nothing to do with pot. I'm just saying. And I wrote
well,
down some of my
what do you say?
420s.
It's 420?
420. I
Ooh,
didn't even
DT
know.
Donald Trump.
What?
Think about that. Well, drop
Well,
40 was DJT, was 41020, but 420 is DT, which is Donald Trump.
oh my gosh, stop it. Can I share my 420s with you? So, how I like to use
Yeah.
gematria is, I mean, like the rest of us, it's so funny. Where one of my girlfriends posted this on my timeline months ago, and she goes, me watching a movie. And it was just kind of like Sharon decodes everything and reads through the lines. And that's the way it is. It's like you can't even watch a movie anymore to just relax like everyone and just after a long day at work. Now, you're like, okay, pause, pause. Oh, I can read right through that. And then that's just my gift. And I know a lot of other people that are listening, they can read right through it. And then when you do cross-reference it with gematria, it basically reinstates what you just thought, and we're connecting on your own. It's like magic. Um, it's crazy, but no, it's kind of a joke at my house when I was back in New Hampshire. I never moved out of state before until Utah. So something was in Utah was calling my soul apparently. But
Hmm.
it was funny every time I would always look up at the clock randomly. I'm like, oh, it's 420. And that's when I found out from my daughter. They're like, Mom, you know what 420 means? Ha ha ha, like smoking pot and all this. I'm like, oh. So it was happening to all of them too. All of us would look up and it's like, it's 420, it's 420. So it kind of became my number. But I like to use gematria as well when I hear things. I'm like, oh, and I just sit and I pop it in. So these are some of my 420s.
Uh-huh.
Sharon Kasleka broke through dimensions, 420. What is Sharon's true identity? 420. What's the meaning of Sharon Ann Kasleka's name? 420. And then I was trying to figure out, because there's a 45th parallel in New Hampshire, and I'm like, 45. So then I'm like, I thought Donald Trump. So I put in Sharon Kasleka and Donald Trump connection, 420. And then what else? Sharon Krista McCullough from New Hampshire, 420, because, the challenger. And I do wish on stars, and it says, when you wish upon a star, Utah, Sharon, 420. I'm like, okay, so 420.
Oh, what about thank you for helping me find my soulmate equals 420?
Oh, that's nice. I don't know about that. I
I
guess
know.
we're going to have to wait and see. Or you, are you talking about you?
No, I'm talking about you, honey.
Oh,
So
okay.
that
Thank you for what? Thank you for what?
so thank you for helping me find my soulmate, 420. There's some other good ones here as well.
Crazy. It's going to be another
Let me tell
time,
you,
another place. Just saying.
he is the undeniable proof of gematria's accuracy, 420. For those individuals seeing angel numbers, 420, you are all going to get what you deserve, for 420. Your gematria search reveals your heart 420.
Oh, that's nice.
So,
Thank
yeah,
you.
so yeah. I mean, and I'm sure if you did the date and you did April 20th and you look up some of the things with that, there's a lot of interesting things. So I would look up the dates too on that. When's your birthday?
Yeah. It's the same
What
day.
month and day?
Okay, March 20th, 1971. It's the first day of spring. Baron
Oh,
Trump and I have the same birthday.
yeah. Oh.
That's what it
So
was so funny
you have
how
your
I came up with Sharon the Red Baron because my dad, when I was growing up, that's what he used to call me all the time. Sharon the Red Baron. I'm like, yep, I'm
you
bad
like my
news.
copper mug?
I do like it.
Like,
This is a
it's
cup that
healthy to
I
drink out.
confiscated from my daughter that she made this back in the day. So
Oh,
they don't
that's so
talk to me at
cute.
all. They don't talk to me. They think I'm legit
Your
crazy.
daughter?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah, they're in their 20s now, but I think like so many people, I tried to forewarn them, and I sent a list of videos from the doctors to my ex-husband, like, look at this, don't, and they're like, stop sending me this shit, and this is the dumbest stuff, blah, 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 and here we are. So, I mean, it's
Well,
hurtful, but I'm fine. I found people such as you and new family, and I love that
whole
because now
family.
I don't have to worry about people judging me anymore. I went,
No.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love them and I would fight for them. And if anyone touched them, I'd punch them in the face, kind of a thing,
Yeah.
and I
Oh,
prayed
yeah.
for them.
Mama bear.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's initially like, wow, I really started to wake up even more so from like the financial side of things too. But like when they started to try to mask my children at the schools, I was like, no, so it's like
Yep.
my mama bear instincts kicked in. And
Good for
that's when
you.
I realized like how many people were not on the right page, like, and
Yep.
I'm like, how am I seeing this plain as day? I'm like, why are you walking around like zombies? Like, what are you
I
doing?
know.
I
But I
couldn't
do
get
feel
it.
bad.
I
I do
didn't
feel
understand.
bad for the older people though, because they really put the fear in them.
Like,
And that I
mhm,
got a problem with that. That makes me so mad because it's making them more sick.
I know.
People don't
Well,
want to
think
do their
about,
research. They're like, that's conspiracy propaganda, and I'm like, okay, it's everywhere now. Just go
well,
digging. But
well, like you said, like, people having children, when they're older and all that stuff. And it's like, then our lifespan is gone, like dwindled down, but
I
then, like
know.
it's funny because as a financial advisor at JP Morgan, they're like, well, lifespans are, getting longer. And rather than dying at 85, you're living until 95. And that's great. And it's like, no, like
Yeah.
it's
Yep.
not more. If you look at biblical days, look at Moses, like
I know. Gosh, it
so
drives me crazy. But doesn't it make you like just think outside the box of how much that has changed since the Bible until now? How hard they had to work to just slowly brainwash the generation so that here we are. It just feels like, oh, this is normal, and we all can feel it that it's not normal. So that's the big guy
no.
connecting with us inside, going, do your research, do your research.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
think and but the part of it too is just that inner knowing and that faith. I don't know why, and that's where my compassion comes in. And I think that
Yeah,
we have to get to that point because we do have to be kind and loving
I
to
agree.
people that they're just like, "Well, that sounds crazy." And I'm like, I get it. I know it sounds
Yeah.
crazy. And I know why. Because why wouldn't we believe everything that we've been taught to since birth? I mean, what's to make
I
it seem like,
know.
okay, just forget it. Go ahead and forget everything you've learned. It's all wrong. And they're like, no. Like, why? They need something concrete.
Yeah.
And
I think it's
this is that.
genius. It's the art of war. I think it's like the coolest thing ever when you really think about it. I mean, if I was told this about 10 years ago, I'd be like, okay, go drink your Kool-Aid. But when you actually do the work and you start popping in things on your, things about yourself and what you were saying, it's like, oh, no one would know that. It kind of gets your wheels turning like,
Well,
oh my goodness gracious, what's God trying to tell me?
well, the funny in the beginning, this is one thing I took away too, was that like you'd look at Gematrix, right? And there's a lot of things in there that are bad. Like it's like, oh, well, it says
Yeah.
this. It's like, okay, this is where, and this was something I saw the other day, which I thought this was very good to think about, right?
Mm-hmm.
If there is good and bad, we develop character, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You have to have both to develop your character. And
Yep.
if everything is just status quo, there's no challenge, there's nothing challenging you to be a better person. There's nothing you're up against that, you learn and grow from things that we call mistakes or obstacles we've had to overcome or bad decisions. And those are things that build our character. They make us a
I
better
agree.
person. And
But
so
I think
that's
a
why
lot
they
of
have
people,
said,
if I can interject real quick though, but I think that has also been labeled that, oh, they're a piece of trash or they made that mistake and this mistake or whatever, when we're all sinners. So the more you gossip and talk about everyone else that they're a sinner, look how bad you're making yourself look. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And that's when I
we all
really
need to
awaken. Mm-hmm.
we just all need to work on ourselves and stop pointing the finger. And,
Mhm.
and even if
Worrying about
somebody else,
ourselves instead of everyone else's. Well, not the world problems, but I mean, stop putting your nose in everyone else's business. That's why that
and you're,
saying is there,
yes,
right?
I mean, these heroes, they've already taken out the evil. And so that's why like our job now is to love people and to be better.
Spread the
And
good word.
it is. And even like I have how many times have you used reverse psychology and been good to someone when they're kind of like expecting you to be mad or pissed about something and you don't handle it like that. You handle it in a way that's love and you're like, all
Mhm.
right, and that's one thing I've learned over the last couple of years. And a big part of it was through Michael and Negative 48 because he was so patient and so kind. And I'm like, why are you putting up with that? Like, what? Like, I don't understand. Like, and he's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
people prove themselves over time. They,
If they'll get it,
and
they'll
that's
get it.
up to them. And you give them rope, and that's what he would
Mhm.
say. And rope and love equal the same thing. So like
Mhm.
and if you give people enough rope, then, they can either hang themselves or they can turn it around and become a better person. And
And use their
so,
Wonder Woman
you know,
lasso. Woo! Right?
that's it,
I
and
love it.
and that's
Yeah.
where, the money will come and all that, and we can do things for humanity but the biggest thing is where are our hearts, and
Yep.
how are we going to love people through this time? And that's what
Yep.
I think is really going to change the world. And if we can raise the
It
vibration,
will.
I'm so glad you have Tracy coming on here tomorrow because she
I
is just
know.
like that. That's why, like, all three of us have connected so much, and like the women that are a part of this whole journey, because like we're just want that to prevail, and it's like
Yeah.
we talked
Oh,
about
I
that.
feel it.
Why do people they get turned off by that? Like, and I'm like, that's God's way of showing you who they are, So like if somebody is going to be mean or get turned off by somebody who's high vibe, then bye bye, see you later, because it's
Oh,
much more fun
I
over here.
so agree. My own people in my own family are like, she's weird. And I'm like, I don't care what you think. This is
Yeah.
how I was made.
I'm
And
like,
you think I'm
you're
being fake,
welcome.
then bye-bye. I mean, I love you from afar
Yeah.
and I'll keep praying for you, but stop judging. It's gotta stop, people,
Yeah.
because they're gonna end up being judged because they were the ones that were judgy on people like us. And we understand what it feels like to be judged. So it's gonna be a 0 point. It's just gonna be like,
Yes.
okay.
I mean, that's what needs to change even in the churches. How many times have people felt
Mhm.
judged there or like, oh, or you act different? It's like you should
Don't
be able
get
to
me
be your
going.
Yeah, I know.
I've been interviewing the ex-Mormons, and I can tell you right now, something has totally been brewing. I've known it for a while, but I can tell the white hats are in control because first the a couple weeks ago, Bishop Jones came out on Mormon stories. Oh my gosh, people need to start listening to that to see what this corporate church does to their people and
Yeah.
brainwashes them. And I
Oh, yeah.
respect people for still sticking and believing in God and Jesus and all that. But see, when I came out here, and I say this a lot on my podcast, but when I came out here And people were telling me that, oh, you can't wear that. Oh, you can't say that around the Mormons. And I'm like, I'm not Mormon. So leave me alone.
Right.
Stop telling me what I should and shouldn't
What
be
I mean,
doing. I'm like, can I just be myself, you know?
yes,
But
yes.
it started to get the wheels spinning to just learn a little bit about this. And what I found was that, I mean, it breaks my heart. Well, let's back up. So I legit feel that it's happening. So Bishop Jones came out and he aired a ton of dirty laundry. Like he was talking about being at a birthday party for some of the girls and he caught one of the other, I don't know if he was the bishop, I'd have to go back, but he was saying he caught him secretly recording underneath little girls' dresses and he called him out on it.
Oh,
And then it turned into, oh, well, you have to go through the lawyers and da 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 da. So then, what was it? Last week, Elizabeth Smart, who she was kidnapped here in
yep.
Utah. She hits the news again, but then wait for it. So just a few days ago, Utah passed a bill that the clergy within the church, especially the Mormon church, they have to
Mhm.
report all abuse allegations. So between you
I
and
saw
I,
that.
this is what's going on in my mind. I'm like, okay, first they have a huge, I mean, this is common sense 101. If you're a church of God, why do you have this big, huge, stinking law firm? That's a lot of, and
Mm-mm.
not
Oh,
only that,
yeah.
they're telling me that they have their hands in all these big, huge company. I'm like, that is not God loving. That has nothing to do with God. So why are you doing this? But here's my take. This is what I predict. Are you ready?
Mhm.
So I predict that that was planted just recently because I'm getting ready to kind of share my channel, so to speak, with the people I've been interviewing. I've just kind of just been keeping it on the down low. Um, and this is what's going to happen. Now that that bill passed, everyone's going to come out of the woodwork and they're going to be so occupied with their attorneys. They're probably not going to even have enough attorneys to
Oh,
keep
yeah.
up with it. And I
No.
feel like that is going to be like the crumbling down of their
Yes,
system. And people can actually,
yes.
people can start going back to old school if they need that sense of community. That's one thing I found with a lot of these Mormons is their sense of community and commitment to the community is huge. So
Mhm.
what I am looking to do is, continue to interview these people, but I'm looking forward to creating a spiritual thinking tank where people can
Oh,
actually
yes.
use their minds and start
Yes.
solving the things in their own communities because we can't
Yeah.
rely on government. And they just, like I say,
Oh,
they give you just enough for you to hang on. Like, that's no fun. I want to see people be free, see the children go back and play outside. You don't see kids play
yeah.
outside. Like, come on, people.
That's
Stop
what
being
needs
a
to
bunch of
happen.
sissies.
You
Sorry, I
need to meet
digress.
Ohio Brett. Like he's traveling all 50 states. He did for the last 2 years. Ohio Brett. He started when he worked with Coach Dave Dobbenmeyer was the coach that prayed with his football team in the 90s and he got fired. So he's
Oh.
like, and that's what they do. I mean, they meet a lot at home, and he works with a lot of the athletes, and and just bringing
Oh, wow.
everybody back to God. And they
Yep.
wanted God back in the schools and all that. But he helped fund my one friend who was a teacher in our community, or she was a staff member there. She was
Mhm.
the study hall monitor, lovely person, like just awesome lady, loves the kids and would go
Yep.
to all the kids' sports events. She's this little Italian Catholic woman who's it's the sweetest, cutest person ever. And she loves her students. And she got fired
Um,
during COVID because she was talking to one of them about God and about how, COVID started in China and they're getting wealthy from it. And come to find out, our
that's like information
superintendent
overload,
for
but
our school,
she got fired.
yeah, so he was meeting with the Wuhan Board of Education in 2019. So, she's just this innocent person talking to another student. Another student overhears her and like goes and reports her, like, I'm feeling, like violated and like I'm feeling scared because they're talking
If I
about, and so
if I hear that
and
phrase
and
one
all
more time, everyone needs to toughen up a little bit, stop being a little tulip, because we've all been taught to end up being a bunch of tulips. So it's time that everyone needs to
But
rise
that's
and
it.
shine. But that's awful.
But
And that's a way of
Ohio
influencing people too.
That was what he did though, is he helped fund her case. So like she was one of the first
Oh,
cases here to fight that. So like, and that's why like when two or more gather, which I think that's where, you and I talking and then meeting some of the same people. I mean, it's raising that high vibe,
yeah,
type
I
of
love it.
people getting together. So like the Mormon, community around you is like it's meeting and being together with people that just want to love and be loved and help others and
Yeah.
they create that sense of community. That's what they always wanted,
Yeah.
so like
And we
we don't
got to save
have to
all
be.
the animals, all the rescue animals and everything. Mr. T, are you listening? We got to take care of all the animals. Just saying. Just saying,
I know.
please.
Yeah.
But it's so funny that well, it's not funny. See, I recognize that's a saying that we were brought up with, because what I'm about to say isn't really funny, but that's a way that they show to the public, silence the people so that the other people know, like, oh, we're putting you in your place, so don't say a word. And my
Yeah.
attitude is if you look the other way at this point in life, again, humble
Shame
pie.
on you.
Yep. And that's the whole point of
Yep.
this too, is
Because
people will have the humble moment like all of us. I mean, none of us are perfect, but we've all gone through our own personal turmoil, and we decided to flip it. We decided to
yeah.
keep our minds open to being open and allow our brains to do the work and inside to do the work for us
Yes.
instead of being
Yes.
told. Now I know why I couldn't stand school growing up.
I know.
Oh
Well,
my
that's
God.
why
I
I
mean,
was
I
the
did
mama
great in
that went
college.
in the beginning to the Board of Education meetings and all that and speaking up and like getting my kids unmasked and doing all that. And
Good
parents
for
were like, well,
you.
how'd you do that? I'm like, number one, you have a religious exemption, and
Yep.
then that's the whole other thing that is mind controlled because they're like, but we don't really go to church. I'm like, it doesn't mean you go to church. I'm like, do you believe in God? And they're like, well, yeah. I'm like,
I mean,
all
it's
you
only
have
been
to
in our
say.
face all along since we've been born, these stories. Come on, people. Jeez.
Those are the things that people could have done that easily would have gotten them unmasked. It's saying, okay, this is not what God wanted. This is not what Jesus wanted. We're not supposed to wear masks on our face. We're
I
supposed to be strong,
know.
no fear. It says no
Yeah.
fear in the Bible 365 times. So 365 days in a year, stop being afraid. And it's
Yep.
standing for something, but
Yep.
everybody was kind of caught off guard and they were worried about their incomes and all of that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
which that's what
Part
our
of their
world has
plan.
done.
Hmm.
Yep.
Did I tell you? I said this in one of my other interviews, but one of the reasons why one of my daughters just cringes if she has to talk to me. But that's okay. I love her. She's very special. But I swear I was the only one that recognized this. Her senior year, the superintendent brought the parents into the school, at the podiums, and they separated them. Who's for masks, who's against masks. 3 times, Jill. 3 stinking times. It was the first time I ever heard anyone at a school say this. Usually they would always call parents. 3 times I documented in this Facebook Live that they were having, they called the parents, 3 different parents, customers. I'm like freaking out online. I'm like, you're customers now. And oh, good thing I was actually in my Jeep listening to this, because the mountains were probably like shattering. I was screaming so loud. I was so mad. I'm like, it's in your face. And they just acted like nothing happened. So, of course, that's when my daughter's just like, Mom's officially crazy. Because you know how small towns talk. And so I'm typing this live on the feed, and I'm like, you're giving your rights away. You're like, you pay the school. And they're all like, she's crazy. And I'm like, whatever.
Well,
Someone's
it's
got to stand
true.
up for
I
your
mean,
kids, because you're not.
it is. They're
Oh,
telling everyone right in their faces. And when that happened too at the Board of Education meetings, they were talking about spending $500,000 to change the mascots. Okay. So they had spent this money, they changed it from the warrior, and the other one was the Patriot, right? They were using like Lady Liberty, which had this Marxist robe. They had the owl. They had an
Mm.
astronaut. We all know that that's fake. So like they were changing it into all of this satanic, symbolism. And
Yeah.
so when I was saying that, I'm like, you're talking about right now the cost of lunches, but you're spending it over here $500,000 to change the mascots into this satanic symbolism. And even the parents that are like they just didn't understand. They were like, "What do you mean? Like that say, that's an owl. It's a butterfly, like the MK Ultra, the monarch
Mm-hmm.
butterfly." And I'm like, "This is all symbolism, and you don't understand what it is. Like you need to do your homework because
Yep.
this is what they're doing." And that 500,000 is being money laundered. And guess what the name of the company was that was changing it? Cult
Oh,
marketing. Cult marketing. I'm like, it's so like in your face. It was cult marketing team changing just the mascots and them spending that kind of money. And then they talk about, well, $500,000 in this, in our school system is really not that much. It's like, no, that's a lot of money.
that
Like
is a
when
lot
you
of money.
talk about,
That's a house payment that's like a lifetime. That reminds me where I grew up in Merrimack, New Hampshire. The football team was called the Tomahawks. And I don't know how many years ago, maybe 7 years ago, that was the name of the team. And because some people
mhm,
had a problem with it or whatever, a bunch of tulips
yeah,
again, they changed it. I don't
right,
even remember what they changed it to. I should look that up. But I'm like, seriously,
yeah,
this is how
right,
history is changed. They're making all these changes right in front of
yeah,
you, these subtle changes for you
yes.
to just become numbed down that, nope, this is just the way things are. And da, 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 da.
Yes.
And that's what I found. And that makes me mad.
Well, that's what so, like, even why I opened my own investment firm was in 2016, so it was before all this happened, and thank God I did because
I'm so
I
proud
was
of
at
you.
JP Morgan. I thank you, but I was forced to. I mean, I was at JP Morgan, I'm like
Uh-huh.
working for this company. I had worked for Merrill Lynch, I'd worked for Wells Fargo. All these things were happening from 2008 from that meltdown, which were bankers'
Mm-hmm.
wars. So that's
Mm-hmm.
what Michael with negative 48, why we connected so much too, is that he was explaining all of that, the corruption with the Federal Reserve, the Treasury, the central banking system, how the bankers get wealthy because
I
they
love
fund
listening
both
to
sides of the
him.
wars.
I learned so much. I
Oh
was
my
so
God.
glad
He
I
explained
found you.
everything. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm. I
that's it.
mean,
So now I understand why they've controlled the price of silver, why everybody needs to buy
I got
silver,
mine. I got mine.
and but most of those places will not buy it in portfolios. I mean, if they do, they buy the like SLV, which is not the one to buy because that's just paper, and that's just an ETF that's going to plummet when all this stuff happens.
Well,
And
it's just like back
so it's
in
really
the Nazi
interesting.
days. Think about it. It's like
Yeah,
they take away things so quickly and you don't even see that you gave your rights away. I mean, how easy is it to be like, oh, we're having problems with this website and you're not going to get your money. And so what do people do? They turn to their government. And when they find out that they're
yes,
evil pieces of what I normally say SHIT, um,
yeah,
that's when they're just going to fall to their knees and then they're going to look at their kids and then to be like, I am so sorry. I mean, I feel for the parents that are going to have to sit down and have that conversation with their children about this thing, about school, about just everything. But that's why there are people like us, because we know what it feels like to be SHIT'd on, and we don't want that to
yeah,
happen to other people. So that's
yeah,
why we're here. And that's why we all felt
right.
it, that there was something going on.
That's right.
I
You
digress.
know what we need to call them? We call them parasites. And how many things are we taking now to be anti-parasites, right? We take our ivermectin, we take our black
Yeah.
seed oil. So now we just need to get rid of the parasites. because
Yep.
they feed on us. Well, literally, and they just need to be
Oh, I
reduced.
hear Danielle Ray
All
Clark.
areas.
She says hi, by the way. She wanted to say hi and send you her
Oh, I did.
thing.
Yes, I need to talk to her.
Oh,
Yes,
good.
yes.
Good. She wanted me to tell you hi, but she's been working on me with the eating meat and stuff. I've tried I
Oh, Junior ate a cheeseburger.
huh? You
Junior ate a cheeseburger at Mama Gum's. They eat meat. You can
so
eat
it's
meat. You
okay,
have to eat
right?
protein.
Well, that's the thing. I have
Yes.
hypoglycemia and I'm a high strong person. And if I don't
Yeah.
have it, I notice that I'm ready to go "Poof," and just be grumpy the rest of the
You need
day.
iron
So,
and meat. I
yeah,
mean, that's the thing is like you can buy things that are from the farms.
yeah,
My roommate in college, her parents own a beef farm, and like so you can buy organic things and just,
yeah,
obviously everything in moderation, but I
yeah,
mean, wait till the world finds out that that's what Junior ate at Mama Gum's restaurant was a big old cheeseburger. Like that's not they're not anti-meat,
yeah.
everything's
Oh,
moderation.
good, good. Now that's the kind of stuff though that I want. We're morphing into this out here in Utah, and it's going to be open to everyone. Is the spiritual thinking tank? Yes, there are farmers market, but what happens in the winter is it's hard to find farmers market. So why not go back to the old way of, a local farmer with the big barn, you know, doesn't charge people
Yes.
a ton of money, like $20 a table or something, so that everyone can come together and do their shopping, have fun,
Yeah,
mingle with the community instead of being at the grocery store, rushing around, looking at, I digress, but
I know.
that's what we
Yeah.
need to
As my
do.
friend he said they bought 2 acres, and he's like, "Oh my god, this summer, Jill," he's like, "You're coming out." He's like, "Tomatoes,
Love it.
vegetables, whatever you want." He's like, "We grow it and we just let it grow randomly." He's like, "There's too much."
I
So, he's
love
like,
it. They got to
"Bring
stick
your
the
bag."
copper in there. They got to stick the copper in there.
Yeah, they'll grow like
Later.
4 times.
Well, I came from the lawn and garden industry, so that's kind of funny, but that's a whole nother story. But so let me ask you, if you had any words of encouragement for people, for what's kind of coming, well, has been coming down the pipeline, but even more so, what would be your words of encouragement for people?
Well, God already won. And, I don't know how many times Trump has said central casting. We're already there. The words of encouragement are to love and be loved and have compassion, have empathy. It doesn't mean sympathy when somebody is doing something against you. It's holding people accountable to a higher standard,
Hmm.
but never bowing down, not having fear. And my words of encouragement are just to love, put God first, continue to read the word. If and I think it's how Brett words it the best. He's like, a verse a day will show you the way. Like just read a verse and practice that, and just be,
Yeah.
your best self and pray every day, like, hey, okay, God, just help me be a better person. Help me be better than yesterday. And that's
Hmm.
my words of encouragement. I think that's it. It's all about love right now.
I
If we
agree.
can spread that higher vibe and, and be that, the world's going to change. And it's not going
Yeah.
to change until we change. If we're pissed off at everything and we're mad because somebody cuts us off on the highway or whatever, it's like,
I know. I'm
whatever.
like, are you really going to fall for that? You were taught that in the movies to have road rage. That's not a normal thing, Like people need to grasp that we have been taught our behaviors through our entertainment, and it's whether you want to pick up on it or
Yeah.
not. And that's the way. Like I remember one time out here in Utah, this girl was tailing my butt big time. I mean, it was awful. So I just moved out of the way. And she was just making this inappropriate, anyhow,
Did she
inappropriate,
tell you you're number one?
I don't think so. She was I'm not going to do the gesture. And I was like, that's just so stupid. It just makes you realize how stupid people look and that they could literally kill people just they want to be right. You know what I mean? I'm like, people, come on, wake
Yeah.
up. Look at how you're acting right now,
Right.
It's like the
I think
kid.
if we laugh about it though, like, it's kind of funny, you know? I'm like, "You're
Uh-huh.
number
Ah!
1."
I gotcha. Oh no, it was worse than that. She was doing things with her finger in her mouth, and I'm like, "Oh, if your mom could
Ew.
see you right now, she'd
Yes,
be so
yes,
disappointed." We're gonna have to start saying that line to people. Your mom would be so disappointed in you right now.
yes. I mean, right, and just be funny with it, you know what I mean? It's like, life is too short, and we don't
Yeah.
need to be, like, just and don't let anybody get under your skin, you
Yep.
know? Just
I don't.
it's water off the back, you know, like, just let it roll,
Yep.
and, you know, and then try to be that, you know, like, even if some like, there's times, obviously, where you probably feel, like, the heat in your face, like, coming where it's gonna drop down to your gut because 'cause you're like, "Ugh," like, but if we can calm ourselves and not react
Yeah.
and just try to do the best that we can to be better, I think it's gonna
Yeah.
create just a better world. So those
Yeah.
are my words of encouragement,
I
and,
love
you
that.
know, and it's sometimes easier said than done, but
Yes, I do
and
believe.
that's where
Yep.
it's not, you know, where people still have to be held accountable if they're doing bad
Yep.
things, you know, and that's where even in corporate America, we haven't held people accountable because we're afraid or we're scared or we're like, "Ooh, they're gonna get mad at me." But it's like, stand for something or fall for anything. And
Yep.
if you stand up and you're not worried about it, God's gonna take care of you. You know, He knows. And He
Yeah.
knows when we have done the right thing and maybe you're being directed in another direction if something's happening with your work or something's happening around you, it's that he's trying to say get away from this toxic environment and
Yeah.
do something else then.
And
And
find your
you know we got
people.
to stand.
Find your
Yeah.
people. That's the big thing. I mean, if you're still surrounding yourself by people that just keep bringing you down, I mean, that's one thing that I've learned about even within religion, that negative energy is very real, but people pass it off that it's just
Yes.
they pass it off that, oh, that's just something in the movies or whatever, or it's all those woo-hoo TV shows that they base on fantasy. Well, wait till they find out that it was actually in our faces all along, but just because someone put the label on it that says this is fantasy or whatever, people literally think it's fantasy when they're trying. It's an educational tool, is what I'm saying. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah. Yes. And I do. I think that I mean everybody's been programmed, but like why not have church at home then? You know, like we don't have to go to those institutions, you know, like
Oh, what
it
do you
they're all a part of you know, they have their what is it? I always want to say congregation, but it's not that. It's the what they have to pay into it, right? So they all have to be a part of the oh, what is it? When they have to pay into, you know, like the Methodist church has to pay like a
Oh,
hundred
the
thousand dollars a
tithings.
year.
They do
Each church does.
tithings. They do tithings out here in Utah, but apparently people don't even
Well,
get their money's
it's
worth because
their
they won't feed them. Just saying. I digress, but it's true.
yeah, they have to follow, right? Whatever the Methodist church is telling them that they have to teach. They have to teach tolerance. They have to, you know, have
Yeah.
their, you know, their youth learning about
Yeah.
tolerance, which just it goes against God's word, you know. So like,
Yeah.
you
I'm
know, and
excited for
Jesus,
kids to
he's
start learning. Like, aren't you kind of excited
right.
for kids to kind of really start learning more like beautiful works of art that were taught in the Bible, the real Bible, instead of just allowing your kids to keep going down the rat. I mean, let's be honest. I don't think any parent is happy seeing their kids sit on their bed like a bump in a log all day going, they're not going to
No,
remember
it's
anything.
like
They're not outside, they're just scrolling. And no one goes to school dances anymore. I don't know about you. We grew up in the era where it's like, hee hee, boys, like, oh, don't, I mean, they don't even do that
yeah,
anymore. But it's so, to me,
I
I
know.
find it kind of creepy. I'm like, why wouldn't you want to? But again, like, we know that it's been taught in our commercials. I mean, don't get me going on the commercials when the kids are fresh to their parents. Now the parents can go back and be like, oh, they were being programmed, but I was too busy and I didn't want to deal with it. So that's why we have this constant cycle, just those
Well, that's
concepts.
it. We didn't like, even, like, if you look back at our generation and then, like, watching TV and growing up and thinking, like, the news. I mean, Tom Brokaw, you think, "Oh gosh, what a" just a altogether good guy, and not knowing the propaganda that was happening even at that point. And I remember, like, 'cause my parents had a store in the Dayton Mall, caramel corn. They had a
Oh,
shop. They
uh-huh.
made popcorn and all that, but they, they noticed the difference when the Walmarts were going in, and then, like, things being done in China. My mom was like, "This is gonna actually cause a really bad, spiral of events happening with the malls and with the shopping and, the retail and all that." And I'm telling you, it was late 80s, and I'm like, everything was plummeting in the malls.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and that's where, like, I was in college at Ohio State, but, like, my parents were in the midst of, like, everything declining, with their
Oh,
businesses and
I'm
all of
so
that. And
sorry.
it just
Yep,
well, you know what? It made things a lot more clear. So, like, everything that you
yep.
go through, and I do think these are why we go through the things that we do, is because you learn from it, and
Yeah,
you
yeah. And
just
not to happen
yeah,
again, not for it to happen again.
right.
And I love what you just
We're
said.
so
If I could say
I
this real quick, is it makes you
hope,
think,
like,
what
our kids and their generations learn from us, and they don't.
monkey
And it's
see,
kind of
monkey
banding,
do.
like, kind of, like, taking a minute for the
Yeah. Yeah. But that's exactly it. I
yeah,
don't
but
like that
it's the
saying monkey
kids,
see,
well,
monkey
hopefully
do, but yeah.
their
I think we're getting on a lapse here.
yeah. I know.
But I get what you're saying because I actually used to sell my product to like Home Depot and Walmart and stuff like that. And the one thing when I look back on it, they were the ones encouraging to get the products done in China to meet their price point. And now when I look at the big picture, I'm like, gosh, it was in my face, in our faces all along. Like we have everything, all of the materials and everything right here in the United States. So why
Yeah.
did they constantly push China products? And when I think about that, I'm like, that's messed up. I mean, it's really messed up when you use common sense and go, why did we even let this happen? Like, how did
Well,
what we just gave our power away? Like, and why wouldn't you
yeah,
want your people in your community to, they're not looking to make $1 million, but they're looking to, keep their house, shelter over their family, but they're looking to have fun and just do what they love. You need your candlestick maker, you need like the person that does your shoes and all that. And but just the simple stuff. And the other thing that I get very passionate about, and it makes me angry, so I got to contain myself, but it also made me realize that when you sell to the big box stores, they always want your planogram, which is basically how your product is going to be displayed and set up. But then my mind started spinning. I've said this on interviews before, but it's like, it really goes to show you when you walk into a Walmart, you probably only need about 15 things, but you end up, I mean, they know what they're doing. They know it's
oh,
product
yeah.
placement. They know exactly what they're doing. But my point is like, holy crap, look at all there's like 90% of the store is stuff you probably don't even really need. I mean, don't get me wrong, like hunting, fishing, and those kind of things, but the clothes, how much freaking clothes did people really need? And now people need to start remembering that what are trends? Trends are just another way of brainwashing to look like everyone else. And I'm tired of looking and seeing everyone look the same. Blah.
It is. It's really I suffer secondhand embarrassment for these young kids that they're on TikTok and they're on Snapchat, and they are, like, going on there showing off their outfits and Cartier watch, and I got my ring here, and I'm like, and it's rush week and I'm rushing this sorority, and they're like, it's embarrassing. I'm like,
Sorry, I
I'm
don't mean to
embarrassed
laugh at
for you.
anyone. Yeah.
I'm
But
like, 'cause I
that
mean,
could have
you
been
look
us
at
too, though. It could have been us. We could have
it
been
could
born
have
now and it
been
could
no,
so
I don't I actually I was like, I mean, I did have friends that were in sororities, but I'm like, I'm not paying for my friends. I already have too many. So
that's
I'm
cute.
really not paying for you.
Oh, it
But
makes
I
me so sad to let these girls, and that's the other thing. That's the other thing that bothers me are these labels that everyone has. They make everyone filter, they create these insecurities and labels to end up creating a product to fix the problem. But people, honestly, when you think about it, God made us the way that we're supposed to be. So
Oh,
everyone
yeah.
needs to settle down, stop judging on looks and all that or whatever, and accept people the way they are. Because when you
Well,
think about it like that, that's a really crappy way to treat people, that you base them
well,
off of the way they look and
I
they
would
dress.
hire people like that all day long that are their own individuals, that are real, that could sit down and have a normal conversation with me, that are humble, that have, just they have a life. They talk about, the things they've learned from. And it's funny because my daughter was writing up her essays for scholarships, and she got accepted to University of Cincinnati. So
Oh,
she's going, and she's such a smart, good angel. I mean, she's like
because she gets
very,
it from her mama
thank you,
and
but
her family.
she's not like cookie cutter. She's like, all these girls are the same. I don't want to be that. I'm like, I love that you have your own
Ah,
individual. You're your own person.
yeah.
And you're a good
She's
person.
strong. That
Yes.
takes, I love, you just nailed it. She's strong. That's what that means. That
And
means
kind.
she is not a follower. She's a
Right.
leader, and we need
Yes.
more leaders.
Yes.
Woo! Go
I
girl
mean, and that's
power.
where it's such an attractive quality in someone when they have a quiet confidence about them. She's not arrogant at all. She's
Yeah.
just kind. And,
Yeah.
and she's been around a lot of people that they're cookie cutter and they want to be this and do that, and she's like, she's like, I'm uncomfortable around that. And I'm like, because you're real
Oh,
and you're
I
genuine.
love
And
that.
it doesn't mean you're mean to someone like that, but they'll learn, and they do have to
Yeah.
develop more character. They have to develop their own
Yeah.
individuality, and, and
Yeah.
to God, and it's just being good and whole because he lives in you, and you can be yourself,
You
and it's
know,
I
I
love
love,
when we're different and quirky.
yeah, we got to bring quirky back and just individuality and just, you just made me think of something that I think every parent will understand this when I say it. When your kids give you this, like you go to a friend's house and their kids act the same way to them, and they have all these, they're like, ugh, like they
Ugh.
have these facial expressions that they all
Yeah.
do the same. I'm like, it's like I'm looking at my own kid, because it's just, I mean, it sounds kind of creepy when you think about it, because they're all being taught how to act, but the parents can call each other kids out like, oh, that kid's got an attitude on them, it just,
Mhm.
but you know what I'm saying? They all,
Yes.
I don't know.
Well,
And
they're
then they're
learning
like,
that.
oh, I'm so sorry. And you look at the parent like, so sorry, I totally understand. But it's time for
Well,
the
they're
parents
growing
to
up
kind
on
of reel them
social
back
media.
in.
They're growing up on social media, and it's
Yeah.
teaching them that, I mean, like, and they're being marketed to. And
Yep.
I'm so, like, since they've been tiny, my girls, I mean, they're 18 and 14, so
Oh,
here shortly. And,
oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm like, you guys have to, like, if they're not on social media that much, just because
That's
they
good.
kind of themselves steered away from it because they can see the fakeness within a lot of the kids that are on it too,
Good.
and
I
just
know some of the stories were so stupid when you actually reread them. I'm like, this is the stupidest stuff I've ever heard. I can't believe that people still,
but
anyhow,
think
I
about how they're
digress.
marketed to, like, all the time, and then
We
they get
grew
on
up, we
there and,
grew
like,
up wanting the Nike sneakers, remember? Same
yeah.
thing happened. Then the Walkman. I mean, that's what everyone wanted for Christmas because they just started trickling in those advertisements. It's been the same the whole time. It's just it's vamped up.
Well, it has, and they can become social influencers. So, like, you could be, sitting at your home in Ohio, or Idaho or Utah or whatever, and you can become a big social influencer just by, doing those kind of things, and then you get picked up by these companies that want to take you in and under their wing, and
Yeah, but not
where
China-based companies. Not
yeah,
China-based companies, kids, just so you
they
know.
need to be aware of that though, because that's where, I mean, you think about kids that went to Hollywood or they got sold out to that whole industry and didn't realize
Mhm.
what they were getting into, and it's
Mhm.
important to be, have that. that character built and have a
Yeah.
foundation to where they know that there are morals to, withhold and uphold yourself.
Yeah.
And a
I
lot
just
of them
I just
aren't
came
like
up with
that.
a good idea on what you just said on just being influencers. Think about this, Jill. Think about like kids that have these creative minds. And, I love seeing the girls make jewelry and knit things and design clothes. Like, instead of the big influencers, why don't they promote their friends' work? I know people kind of do it, but make it more of a focus that it's being made in the
Yeah.
US, where friends come up with something different and unique. And why not allow the people decide instead of things being pushed down their throat and promoted? And you think something like, I need a new treadmill, and then all of a sudden treadmills pop up, you know what I mean?
Well,
But like, they're friends that are making something different and unique that's made here. That's
Well,
what I think they should
so
focus.
I think that that's the start of it. I mean, Trump obviously moved a lot of the manufacturing out of China into these other countries. And then you got the BRICS nations that are all coming together, and then other countries joining that. So that's the global part of it. But then
Hmm.
if you look at it here, where we are going to create new systems, we're all going to come together and we'll have different ways
Good
that
plan.
we do business and all work together, so
Yeah.
that's all happening. And
Yeah.
so when we start to do that, I mean, these kids that are coming up now, like if they're brought up the right way and they have like
They're gonna
that
be
good foundation, they'll get the start,
They'll be
because
smarter than so many more of the parents out there. They're going to be teaching their parents about this stuff. Think
well,
about that. That's kind of
that's
cool.
the wealth of the righteous or wicked is turning to the righteous. So we're going to have money and humanitarian money to be able to help these kids that want to do the right things.
That's
So
awesome.
I think these last few years has helped us to learn discernment. And you don't just give money to anyone that's just needy. They have to earn it.
Yeah.
And there's going to be smart contracts and ways that they become better and do better. But the money won't be an object at some point. It's not going to be the money. It's going to be, what have you done to help humanity? What have you done, right within your heart? And
Yeah.
that's what's going to be helping you to rise up, in this world. And that's,
Yeah.
I think we're just going to become better and better
It's gonna
people.
be beautiful. And come on,
Yeah.
let's all be honest. I mean, probably 70% of the people on here that listen in the future, do you really like working for someone else? I don't really know a lot of people that love what they do for
No.
work unless they're working for themselves and they're doing
Yeah.
something that they love. I mean, I don't know about you, but I just think about that. People have given up so much of their life. I mean, this is the common sense that I like to use. And I think a lot of God warriors and patriots are doing the same. It's like, I spend more time working for someone else's dream, and I'm too stressed to even have enough time to get a day or two in with my own family. And what I
Mhm.
feel is that the evil pieces of what already knew that. So that's part of the plan of them to not have as many children, because you can't afford them. You have no time for them. What's the point of even having kids?
Right. Right.
Ew, so
You think
wrong.
about it too, because I thought, oh, good, I'm opening up my own firm and I can run my own thing, but I'm still under the system because I still have to be with the custodians that are still under that same hierarchy. So
Uh-huh.
until we get out of that on a decentralized system, and that's going to be through the Stellar and Flare network and through XRP and XLM and these currencies that aren't controlled by the evil cabal and they're not controlled by the central
Yeah,
banking system, it's going to be separate. So we're going to be in control of our own destiny. And when you want
I
to decide to
love
do
that.
something, you go do it. If I want to buy your house, it's me buying your house from Sharon. We do a smart contract and it's all done in a legal way. And we have an agreement that's withheld, but and upheld, but we do it and we do it ourselves without having all these middlemen involved that
Oh,
make
I
all.
know. Doesn't Okay, so I have a question. So first off, could you explain to people about bricks? Because I have heard some people like, ooh, bricks is bad. So if you could decipher and help future viewers and explain that, and maybe get into this a little bit more and where people can find you. Because I
Well,
trust
yeah.
you. I totally trust you.
Well, that's the thing. Like, so, I mean, well, one of the things, the big thing, and if people need to watch the video, it came out. Charlie Freak was one of the ones that posted it first, and he explains the how all 209 countries capitulated to Donald Trump. Okay. So the BRICS is Brazil, India, China, um, I think it's South Africa, Saudi Arabia now, and then now there's some other countries that joined. So
Mhm.
these countries now they're going to get away from the US dollar. Okay. So the
Mhm.
US dollar has been the world currency for however long, and so and now everything has been so manipulated for so many years, and we realized that it was a global run entity, because if you look up the Federal Reserve, it's not a government entity, it's a foreign entity. It's not even in the government pages.
Oh,
So
when I tell people that and they're like, that's stupid, that's propaganda. I'm like, but seriously, just go to the US government website and you'll find it. I'm like, I'm not the one that's brainwashed
well,
here.
it's not rocket science when we look at the central banking system, and any country that's gone onto a central banking system, they're eating out of garbage now. I mean, it's they're all their currency runs to nothing. So
Mhm.
when these countries are now joining the BRICS, right? So like these other countries are starting to do that. They're coming together because we're going to create our own monetary system. And
Can't
even
wait.
Chairman Powell was talking about it. And even if you look up JP Morgan and the ISO 20022 currency, they have to
Mhm.
be compliant in 2025. And it says November of 2025. So
So people
this
like us are totally ahead of the game because
yes,
we listened to the right information when we
right.
felt like other things weren't resonating, and that's exciting for me.
But now you are seeing it on the mainstream. So if you look it up, I mean, you see the banks that are doing that, and I just think now it's going to become, banks are going to be smaller as far as the amount of banks that we have. They're going to be
Mhm.
financial service centers, and
And
then
I
what's going to
noticed that in my local bank over I do direct deposit a lot, but I went into it and it was awesome because the whole place was restructured. And just like we heard years ago how people were going to be called financial consultants, that's what was on everyone's office. I mean, I walked in, I couldn't even deposit a check. There was no teller, there was no counter, there was nothing.
It's all
And
financial advisors now, like advisors, but they're all telling people how to get into their own proprietary products. So like they're very high fees, and they're
yeah.
very vanilla on what they offer, and they want to direct you into these diversified portfolios, is what we call them, diverse, because they're worse.
Yeah.
They're
I
going to be
like
worse.
that lingo.
Yes. I
Mhm.
mean, maybe ultimately, like
They'll
everything's
convert.
gonna be fine financially, but it is gonna be a shift, and it's gonna be a choice. And,
Yeah.
the choice is gonna be, do you wanna be on this controlled system over here, or do you wanna be free? And this is where the
Mhm.
new system's gonna come in. We're gonna be in a decentralized
That's my
system.
ringtone. I want
Yeah.
to break free. I've had that for like 12, 14 years. I don't even know.
Yes.
Maybe I
Well, it
already
is.
do. I don't know.
Freedom.
That's
And I think that's
awesome.
why we've been so scared and controlled, and we don't look at it as being scared, but really if you think about like, oh God, my boss is coming in, or I've got like this going on, or even I've got regulators that come in my office and they do an audit, and it's like I couldn't run a cleaner firm, but they still want to pick apart things, so we
Mhm.
get scared. We have to be licensed, and it's like I do think there needs to be checks and balances,
Yeah.
but we're working under fear, and we should
Yeah.
not have to work like that. We should work with, imagine what we can do when we have freedom to do what we,
Oh, I dream about it all the time. I can't wait. So here's
and
a
we're really
question.
not going to be able.
Can I ask you about people in that industry? So obviously there's a lot of financial brokers out there. What's going to happen to their jobs? Are they going to join the movement or how would their
I mean, that's going to be a personal choice, but I think a lot of people, they're going to have to learn that. And I do think the banks are probably going to have to train them that way. So like this is what always happened before in the banks, is that we started to, go into a new system, and like there'd be like a certain amount of people that were maybe like the top performers, and they get chosen for this rollout, like to do like the initial rollout, and they learn the system, and get all the
Mhm.
kinks out and all of that, which is what's been happening over the last few years. They don't even realize what they're learning, because they're learning the quantum financial system. So, you know,
Ah,
it took years. Like if JP Morgan wants to change their computer system, it would take years for it to roll out, even if it's just here in the US. So imagine
mhm.
a global system running all the financial institutions under one type of, way that we're going to be doing business in the future,
That
and getting
sounds
all countries to capitulate and to do what we need them all to do. How long does that take? And people are like, well, why is this taking so long? I'm like,
that's a
you
big
guys
any software
go.
engineer would tell you that's the biggest project, like the
I
biggest.
mean, on top of that, the
I can't
evil
even
that has
imagine.
controlled the monetary system and has had all the money continually trickling back up to them, they're the ones who
Hmm.
had to be taken out. So you had to do that too. So our heroes that took care of that, like, I mean, you could wait a lifetime for that. It's it's bringing everything back to God and to
So cool
Jesus,
and
and that's
simple. So the
it
system's going to be
really is.
way more simple, right? You know, that's one thing I can't stand, and maybe other people can relate to. It just popped in my head. Is I can't stand when you go to any type of store and they all have these credit card processors that are all different and you have to do things different. I'm like, why can't it be simple? Why can't we just have one? That's what everyone wants when they think about that stuff. They all complain about it too, going, why can't they all? It won't slide. I got to do this and that. And oh, it doesn't work. And
Well, imagine how easy it's going to be when we do have that, and it's like everything's backed by, silver when we trade, like when you and I do a transaction, because we'll have XLM, which is like a
mhm.
Venmo. So it's like it's
Yeah.
gold and silver being digitized, right?
I
And
like how
token.
you said that. So when people watch this in the future, that will resonate. I don't like PayPal. I use Venmo. Um, so I love what you just said. That's simple, it's easy. So it's going to be something similar to that.
Yeah, I mean, our
Simple,
so our
cool.
think about, like, okay, so you and I, when we do business, we're like, I'm not going to give you this piece of silver and be like, okay, can you give me change? No.
Yeah, exactly. Because I
This,
want the difference. If you
right.
right, you can't
So this
break change
right
for that.
now is probably worth like 25, $30,
Hmm.
right? And
Hmm.
it really should be worth at least $1,100.
Hmm.
So, so we have this piece of silver, but like, okay, now we have a credit card. So we can run the card. We can have, this will be digitized. So if I owe you,
A
15
gazillion
bucks,
dollars.
okay,
A
then
gazillion
I
dollars? Are you sure you
you.
don't owe me a gazillion dollars? What?
Yeah, well, that'd be easy too right now with my glitching lobster account. So
I'm
like,
teasing. I'm teasing. I'm teasing.
but like,
But
I mean, it'll be very easy for us to like send money to each other, but it's backed by something physical. It's
yep.
not this paper fluff that is just keep running up this debt that we see, our national debt clock running up to $34 trillion now. It was 9 trillion when Obama went into office, and now it's
Oh, it
yeah,
kills me when I see people. Okay, can I just interject and say something because this is just the way my brain works is it kills me to see people constantly using a credit card. My mom taught me at a very young age, right after high school. I got my first credit card, living at home with my mom. I'm going to school at college at night and all that. And I'm like, I got this great black leather jacket at Macy's. And she saw the card come in and she's like, down and have a talk. What's this? And I'm like, oh, it's my new Macy's credit card. And she's like, okay. So, and she explained to me, like, okay, are you just looking to pay the minimum payments and you know how that goes? And by the time you, but what kills me is people are not understanding that it's just like that saying our parents told us, if you don't have the means, don't, if what's that saying? Don't live above your means. But people
yes,
keep using it. And the point is people are falling for all these new trends. And I need the latest iPhone. And it doesn't it work? If it works, it works. Just use whatever you have. You don't need a new computer. You don't need 10 million new outfits that you wear. I
no,
downside so much, but my point is what's the average the interest rate on it? Is it like 27% or
so
something at this?
yes. I
That's
mean, if on a credit
insane.
card, when I mean, let's
That's
say
what I'm
somebody
saying.
they end up running it up, right? Because they're like, oh gosh, I got to put this on my credit card again. Oh my car broke down and I just went on a shopping spree, but now I got to put another 2 grand on my credit card. Well, then they jack up your interest rate to 29, 30%, and you're stuck. So nobody ever pays it off.
But
But
that's my
imagine,
point, right?
and let's
So
say you got silver and then this keeps going up in value. And then you're like, okay, well now I can go out and buy my leather jacket or the shoes I wanted to do because this just went up in value. And it's going to continue to go up in value. So
yeah, I
you're
mean, I
you're
know it's
paying
hard.
for your own stuff,
Yeah, I
you
love
know?
how you're explaining this because I know people in the future are going to definitely like, I love how you break things down simply because I think that a lot of us, including myself, I'm tired of jargon in every industry. I'm tired of it. It's like you have to learn a whole new freaking system. And
It
you're
shouldn't be
not
that
gonna,
complicated.
it's like your lawyer jargon, it's like your financial jargon, and your tax jargon,
Medical,
medical,
medical
everything.
jargon.
No one understands it. Like
They don't,
I
and that's why they think they have to hire someone, and that's why, like, even
well,
if I
because no
hope I
one has
don't have
time.
to have clients, really, because then my clients know how to do the financial piece of it, or
Yeah.
like, let's say that we have enough money, that's what I would do to help others. That could be my humanitarian project, is to be like, I'm going to help you understand this about the digital currency when I don't have to
Yeah.
make an income anymore, and but right now, it's
Oh,
like that's where
yeah.
we're all at. But why did Jesus flip the table? He flipped the table because he's like, you're not going to be putting my people into debt. You're not going to use this to sell your goods here. Like that's not what we're supposed to do. But
Yep.
they've kept us indebted to them and kept us in debt with credit cards and mortgages and all of that. And that's
And
not the way it's supposed to be. It's
and it's
not.
very, I don't think there's one person that can't deny that that is very, very stressful for people and their families. When you
Yeah.
think about everything that you just said, I don't know a lot of people that don't stress about that stuff anymore, especially in these times. I mean,
Yeah. Well,
you
you need
know,
2 incomes and, if you wanna, send your kids off to college. I mean, college, it's not even sustainable. Like, when I do the financial plan for how much college goes up every year, people are like, "I don't even know how I'm gonna afford it." Like, I mean, my kids are going to, like, go to
and
school and
half
it's
of
gonna
them
be
are ungrateful. They don't even
$100,000.
care. They don't
Yeah.
even care. They're blowing their mom's, their dad's money out the window. I know a lot of people, I'm not going to name names, but like 45 grand for the first year at school, their first year at school, not my kids, but someone I
Yeah.
know. And they just partied and they peed
Yeah.
it out the window. And it breaks my heart for the parents because in a way, they allowed them to do that to
Yeah.
them. And
I
that's
mean, unless they're gonna
disrespectful.
be,
That's
a
disrespectful.
a
Mm-mm.
doctor or an engineer or something that requires a degree, like if you're going for liberal arts or you're going for, business, like you
Mhm.
don't need a degree. Like I'd way rather, like if my kids wanted to do business or they want to do what I do, I'd be like, then you're just going to start off doing it. We learn hands-on and I'll teach you everything you need to know because you don't need a degree. Like
Mhm.
it's running a business. And
Yep.
really, what everybody really needs to do is start their own business. But
Yep.
if, like
But
Julia,
they
she
have to
wants,
start from somewhere, like internships. I mean, I think that they've got these great programs out here. And I think that I can say this openly without people being like, "Ooh." Well, there was a article a couple years ago that I remember. It was the people that were in jail that like literally got put in jail for smoking pot or whatever. I mean, we're talking like very minor things that everyone else is doing, but they just. But my point is I love that they had a program where they brought in. I mean, think about this. They brought in like contractors and so forth, like building contractors, welders and stuff like that. And what they did is they had like a shop there so that the
oh,
people that wanted to learn, it was a 2-for-1er. So once they ended up getting to a point where they were getting good, they started to pay them. So by the
oh,
time that they were out, they wouldn't go back into the same things that led them down the wrong road. I'm like, that's genius. That's
yes.
genius. Like people just need to start thinking like that, outside of the box, simple, like
Well, it
I've
does.
seen.
And I think those are the things is like, and that's really what should happen, because we're still going to have jails, we're still going to have prisons, because there's still going to be people doing things that they're, horrible, but they can be
Mm.
reformed. And I
Yeah.
mean, that's why, like, Jesus says, clean slate. Like, we're not worthless
Yeah.
sinners. There's people that make decisions sometimes, or you've done something, and we've got to hold people accountable when they do, but that,
Yeah.
you can learn and grow from it. But the systems that were set up before were to keep people under that enslavement system on purpose. And we didn't know
Yeah.
that. Like, we didn't realize,
Yeah.
like, oh my God, this is what they did. And they did go after certain
It's
communities,
scary though, huh? When you really start doing your research, I mean, it's out there for everyone to look up. We're not making this stuff up, and it's not
no,
propaganda. And people need
no.
to start using. So I've actually been learning to flip that on certain people that have commented on some of my posts. And I don't argue with anyone anymore. I haven't done that for a while, but they're like, that's stupid propaganda. And I'm like, here's a clip of, the UN saying that they want to depopulate all of us through this. But they're like, that's propaganda. I'm like, okay, so his name is in there. You can do your research. Like, it doesn't take rocket science to like put all the tiny pieces together that what they're saying is actually true. So what I've learned is when people still are like a little loopy, and I don't mean it in a mean way, but they're just not getting it and they want to use that on me, I'll be like, I'm so sorry you're still falling for that propaganda, because so I flip it right back on them and then make them think about it. I'm like, because you did. You did.
Like, yeah,
Right?
right. Yes,
Oh,
absolutely.
I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm so
It is
excited.
happening, though. I mean, and that's why, and I'm glad you're doing this show, and I'm so proud of you for doing it,
Oh,
because
thank you. I'm so honored to have you on here. And this is our first face to face in person. It's always been on negative,
I always felt like I
you
knew
know.
you.
Oh, I know it is a weird feeling. I mean, I'm pretty open with most people. I don't care, but I'm like, I like her. She's got sass to her. So I like that. I like that. I don't, it's hard for me to get along with women that are just like this. Like,
Oh,
show some emotion. So show me you care about something,
yes,
not like,
passion.
hello, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I just
Yeah,
go bonkers on
and
that.
have an
And I have
opinion.
to tell you, you sound just like one of my friends, Joby. Your voice sounds exactly like Joby. Joby Sinclair. Sullivan. Sorry, she's a Sullivan now. But I used to be,
Well,
well, my mom's maiden name was Sullivan. Yeah. You won't
she must
find.
be a most wonderful, beautiful angel.
She is adorable. She brought her son out. I was actually hoping she'd come out again this year, but um last winter her and her son came out to visit for a couple days, and it was really nice. He's a good boy. Yeah,
Oh, that's
that was
awesome.
nice.
Well, that's
So,
it. I mean, it's having, like, good people around you, and the people that can be fun, and, that
yeah.
you can talk to and be real with. That's why I'm so glad you're having Tracy on tomorrow, because
I
she
can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm so excited. Well,
yes.
Jill, thank you so much. And can I ask where people can find you if they ever have questions down the road about what
Yeah,
you're doing?
so,
And
I mean, my website is www.freewoodwealth.com. Tracy and I also have our own Telegram channel, Busting Out of the Matrix. There's no G on it. It's just Busting Out of the Matrix on Telegram. And we're on there, and people can private message on there, because my name on there is Jilly Jill.
I
And so
know.
you can, message that way. I think that's
Yeah.
probably the best way. And then from
Okay.
there, I mean, I've had a lot of people that have reached out and had a lot of
Yeah.
questions about investments,
Yeah.
because I'm
Well, because they're
rare in the
panicking. They're
industry, and
starting
we
to
can help
panic.
them with the
Yeah.
physical silver and gold, and the mining. And
Yeah.
what is
Hello,
beautiful is that,
I'm out in mining town out here. I got the map.
yeah, just an
I know.
open platform, like an open architecture of how I can invest for them. So that's what, that's the benefit of what I have, is that I'm not just limited to silver and gold, is that I have everything. So it
Mm-hmm.
opens up the
Mm-hmm.
world of investments, and, so that allows me to do everything, because when the market finally plummets, it's going to go back up 300%. So
Yep.
people just need to
That
be
makes,
invested the right way. Mhm.
yep. Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. And I love Telegram. Telegram is my go-to. That's where I found you, where I found Negative, where I found Danielle, Tracy, like all of you wonderful people. And
Yeah.
I just was tired of being silenced on Facebook. And I don't know if people were even paying attention, but in 2020, I document everything. I take screenshots. They all probably know that are watching me.
Mhm.
But I do. And I'll never forget when the right after the election, you know, Instagram updated their rules or whatever. You know, that little click on this to accept the terms and all that. And I'm like, I'm not clicking on that till I read that. And I was scrolling through it. And they were talking about bringing people to jail if you say things wrong and this and that. I'm like, oh, I'm going to say a lot of wrong things. So I'm going to end up in the slammer. I'm not supporting this. And
I
so that's
know.
why I ended up going on Telegram and Rumble. I'm not really on there, but what I love is it's not just about people being on the right. It's about both sides being able to talk freely without being censored. I mean, it's just
We should not be censored. I mean, and that's
yeah,
that. I do think, the people that were hurt by that, or, even legally or any of that, that they're going to have a huge, payout, and things are going to happen good for them. And I mean, even like Mickey with the whole January 6th stuff. I mean, I think there's going to be, like good things that come to
yeah,
those who stood for something, and
yeah,
but it's crazy to me, like, where we're at. I'm like, you should never be stifled on what you're allowed to say, and
yeah.
especially the conservative voices you're talking about, like, you talk about God and then YouTube cuts you off, like,
I
it's
I
insane.
forwarded, yes, I forwarded your post on Christ, the DNA strand. I
Oh,
reposted that. It got totally shadow banned. I'm like, these people. And you know what breaks my heart is I feel like so many people are awakening right now when it just comes down to this. When we finally recognize it's really real, it's okay to be wrong because we've all been wrong about our own stuff in our lives. But do you really want that for your kids to be silenced and to be
no.
groomed and to be pushed that way? That's when people find out they're just the moms are going to lose it. The
Well, look at the ones who
feminists.
are silencing. They're like people that you would never want as somebody that your child looks up to. I mean, they have 0 morals.
I
They are,
know.
probably the 400-pound hairy pedophile guy that's like, "Yeah, you can't say that." You're like, "No, like, stop monitoring me," and
Yep.
but it's on these platforms, and that's why I do think, like, what Trump's coming out with Digital World Acquisition Corporation and the True Social, like, that's
Yep.
gonna
I
be
got to
the
get
new.
back on there more. They need to come up with a platform like the Hootsuite app where everyone has stuff everywhere. It's so time consuming. Like just streamline. Can you tell him I said this? Like to
Yeah,
streamline everything into
yeah, let me know.
one so people can maximize their. Hi, Mr. T. Can you
Yeah,
actually? So can
yes.
I ask you a favor, Mr. T? Can you get a streamlined platform that everyone can post their own, like one post for all the different platforms so people can like totally like get other things done?
Sure, I'll work on that for you. I'll
Okay,
work on
thank
that for you, Sharon.
I'm so
And
glad I could just
my
speak.
vice president, he will work on it too.
Thank
Mind
you.
you,
Oh,
what that says? So that's 71. So if you think mirror, it's 17, which is Q
hold on, let me write
17.
that down again. Can you pop JFK Jr. up there again real quick? Mega cubed. I love it.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah.
I
That's why I like
love it.
jennifermack.com. She got some amazing, amazing items on there.
Who?
And
What? I
there's a
didn't
lot,
hear you.
like John McAfee. Like, we haven't seen what's coming out with that yet. But what is the big deal with the John McAfee? Like, I have the metal print that they have. I think there's like one or two left that people can buy. But yeah,
Huh.
that's
That's
really
gonna be
interesting.
interesting when I kind of just can't wait to just see how they turn it into a movie instead of it's going to be drama. There's going to be really bad things. That's the thing that I'm like, what are we going to choose? I mean, I've seen stuff out here that I've seen that I recognize, right? I always watch my surroundings and I notice a lot of things that if you know what to look for, I mean, I've seen pedo signs everywhere, just like President Trump said. He's like the
Well,
signs
you
and
gotta
symbolisms.
remember they have had everything on record since 1983. Probably, I don't even, maybe even before that, but like every button pushed since 1983. And you got to think McAfee. Remember the McAfee software you had on your computer?
Yeah, that was used for the election as well. He's gonna rat them
Well,
out.
and
That's why they wanted to whack him.
he gifted all those computers to the government. Can you imagine what's all on
Oh!
there? So I think he's like our secret weapon. So I think John McAfee, there's more to come with John McAfee. So
That is so, but that's actually brilliant. And then the people are probably like, the government's probably like, oh, great, we don't have to go and spend that. We can send more money to Ukraine.
right. Well, how many characters do you think Junior played? Like, come on. Like
I don't
that'd be so
know.
fun. That
How
would be
many do
hilarious.
you think? How many do you think?
Oh, I think I think there's a bunch. And I think they have
Like
green
10,
room.
20?
Oh, I think there's oh yeah. I mean,
More
oh
than
yeah,
20? More than 20.
probably.
Can
I
I
just
ask you
think
a question?
well, yeah.
Okay, please don't laugh at me because I believe God does magic and a lot of us may not understand it. So, what's the scenario if, because I feel like I've talked to mass people, I'm not going to lie. But my question is how do you say this without sounding like a Looney Tune? Okay, if there's someone shorter than someone's supposed height, can they do that some way, somehow, or it just doesn't
Yes,
work?
I have heard yes. I have heard
Meaning like someone that
oh,
is playing a part who's
to be
technically
shorter
six
than they
one.
were?
Yeah, so it probably doesn't work that way. It only
I
goes
don't know. I have no
okay.
I that would be something that would be, I mean, beyond Tesla technology or something that I don't understand. But
Okay.
I mean,
Do you think it's
obviously,
possible? Do you think it's
I
possible?
think almost anything's possible now. I'm like, I don't
Okay.
know. I don't know how they do what they do. But like they could even like change like the looks of the hands. Like they can change, I mean, the looks of your skin, all that. I mean, you can go from being like a lighter complected to a darker complected or vice versa. You can
Are you
be
saying in person or are you saying online?
well, even in person with the masks.
Uh-huh.
There was
Uh-huh.
something I just posted too that when I've seen it several times, but how the CIA, I mean, it used to be like somewhat detectable, like with the mask if you were up close, but now it's undetectable, even when you're like up
I
close
always
to
try to look at people's ears now.
yes. Or like
I'm like, do you have
if
a
your
hole
ears
in
are
your ear?
connected or not, the lobes, I mean, that's a giveaway,
What was
or
that?
even like the lips, like a lot of these, the facial
Oh,
hair.
my
You
hair is
see a lot of the ones they have facial hair, the men,
yeah.
you know, and I
Uh,
think that's part of it because they can hide their little because I would think their lips would have to be out. I don't know how you could hide that or and like how does the voice modulator work? But if
it's
you
like The
watch
Simpsons. That's the Simpsons episode. I remember that. I learned a lot from The Simpsons and South
well,
Park.
watch the My Pillow commercial next time and like watch Mike Lindell's like neck starts to like go like this, his little like voice modulator thing. Like you can
Is that
see it.
where it is? I thought it was just in their mouth.
I think usually it's in your mouth. I think with him, he's been out for so long that they're just trying to show you.
So
I think they're
okay, so who is he though? Or who do you think that is playing him,
well,
should I
Michael
say?
always said that it's Junior, but I think what's
Huh.
happened is these characters have different people that play them at different times. So, like,
Uh-huh.
if you look at some of the different ones that have been at the rallies and all of
Like
that,
Vincent Fusca and
well, like,
mm.
yeah, part of the 900, the people that went into the witness protection. I mean, where'd all these people go from Hollywood? I mean, everybody didn't die and then their kids died. And then, like, no,
Oh,
that's
I
not
know. That was so obvious when
Kobe
oh,
Bryant.
No, the mom and daughter there.
Oh,
Was it
Whitney
Princess
Houston?
Leia? Was it oh, her as well? I didn't even think of that, but I mean, was it Princess Leia and her? No, and Margaret. No, who was it? Oh, I
Was
can't
it
remember. It was like her mom died, and then I think the daughter died. Wow, it's gonna drive me crazy. Huh.
I know there's so many, things like that too, and then Anna Nicole Smith and then her son. Remember her son died and then she died? Her son
Yes, I
when she was in
never.
the hospital when she was having the baby?
I totally forgot about all this stuff. Oh, it's going to be so entertaining. I can't wait. So here's a question, and I know this might sound silly. Okay, so we've got Michael Jackson and like John Denver and stuff like that. Do you think any of them are going to actually be the same person, or are they going to be, when the truth is told, they are their own unique
Well,
individual? Does that
I
make
mean,
sense?
what we've been told is that there's gonna be no question. When it all does come out, there will be no question about it. It's going to be it biblical, for one. It's gonna be in everyone's face, but I don't know how they'll do that. And I mean, I don't even know if that was in a code. I mean, the way I learned that, I don't know. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, and I could never say, I mean, the things that have rolled out so far haven't rolled out the way that I've thought that they would. So
Mm-hmm.
really what it boils down to is just trusting God's ultimate plan because we know things aren't as they seem. The truth is
Mm-hmm.
stranger than fiction. And
Mm-hmm.
these people are at the rallies. I mean, you can see people and you know that they're in a mask. Like they just
Is it
it doesn't
really that obvious?
it's so obvious. I mean, like, because they just look like characters. I mean, and they act like characters. And then
I know
there's
I've
just like,
met some. I know I've met some, just for the record. Just
yeah.
saying.
I
I
mean,
don't
there's
mean
some
that
that have
towards
come
you.
out.
I'm just giving the camera that I'm like pointing to
Well, they just use
people.
like the same name, even, and they're two different characters. They've been interviewed at the rallies, and then you're like, wait, you said your name was that, and then next time he says his name is that, and you're two different people, but then they have the same voice. So like,
Mhm.
and they
I
look
think
like
I'm being
characters.
punked by some people. I
Yeah.
digress. Oh my
Well,
gosh. So I just want to share for the record for anyone joining, in the future who doesn't understand the Trump rallies and so forth, that Jill here and many others and Mickey Q and so forth, they're there all the time. And I just want to encourage people to be open to being open because people such as herself and others that have been traveling alongside of them, they know a lot more than you think. And I don't want you to just think that everything we're talking about is crazy because this is part of the art of war and it's going to be pretty cool. I can't
it
wait.
really is. It's amazing how well, I think about the National Enquirer and how, like, we're like, "Oh my god, it's
Ah,
just a bunch of," then you're like you go back and you look at it,
decode
you're like,
it.
"I'm the only magazine telling everyone the truth."
I
It's
love
so
that you
true.
just said that because I wish that I'm so bummed. I actually, my Grammy, she had a collection of my grandmother and family. They loved the Kennedys so much. And this was way before I had awakened and so forth. This was back in New Hampshire. I thought I gave them to my friend Kathy, but she says she doesn't think that I did. And now I'm like, I wish I had all of that so I could just be like decoding
Well, I wonder
everything.
if they have them for sale on eBay because, like, now I've gotten a lot of
But she
magazines.
had a lot. They had
I
just,
know.
I'm
It's a
so
lot to,
sad.
like, collect, actually.
I might have to go digging more
Yeah.
and
But it's
see.
funny, I mean, like, because 'cause it'll be amazing the value of some of that stuff too when you actually go back, and I really find it hilarious and ironic how it's gonna look so crazy when people are like, "Oh my god, I thought that was so weird," and it's like, that was the truth. Like, it's think mirror, which, okay, so 351 is adding all the numbers through the alphabet, right?
Mm-hmm.
A through
Mm-hmm.
Z.
Mm-hmm.
153, so the backwards of 351, when you say think mirror, it adds up to 153. And so, like, think mirror is how they're showing everybody what's going on. It's the opposite. it's doing everything the opposite way.
Yeah. It's like
It's like
opposites
third
day. See,
grade.
they've already been preparing everyone at school with the kids. Like, it's opposites day and
Yeah,
it's this
I love
day.
opposite day. I'm like, opposite day, third grade. I'm like, well, it's opposite day,
Right?
so
So we're already this is what's so beautiful about the art of war is what I have found is it's already in our face so that when the truth is told, we'll already be it's like when people get annoyed with when they hear Trump, the people that I'm talking about and so forth. They're just like, oh, I can't stand his voice. And he just but what I've learned is he's doing exactly what the other side has been doing. He's raising his
oh,
voice for us and he's
yes,
repeating it so much that people will get annoyed. But that's the way you brainwash people, is like you just
yes.
keep repeating, 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 repeating. So then finally, when the truth is told, everyone's gonna be like, I told you so. I
And you
told you
flip the
so.
switch. They used
Yes.
all their tactics on them. They totally outsmarted them and used all their tactics against them. That's why when they say nothing can stop what is coming, when you look at every single outcome, it's
Mm-hmm.
all God wins. Every single one of them. There's no way out. There's no way out. And
I
they had
know
to wait till interest rates hit zero. I mean, they were doing like negative interest rates. Trump, yeah. So he
what.
takes the oil, right? When we're like, all the oil that he ended up like making the oil deal, they paid him to take the oil because they had nowhere to store it. So like they're paying him.
He's already making a bundle off everything.
Yes.
Because he's a
I
smart
mean,
businessman.
he's genius.
I even said before Trump was in office for years prior to that, I always remember saying to myself, we need a businessman to act as our president. None of these ding dongs that are groomed and trained. I mean, I think that's what's going to happen. People are going to realize they're just going to fall to their knees going, I was trained for their work, the bad people's work. But it's not going to click for a little while, I
No.
mean, I think it's going to
Well,
be
I
hard.
did think that too, because I was thinking like, oh my gosh, he's just such a smart businessman, right? Or like watching The Apprentice. I'm like, that's who I would have picked. Yeah, he's telling it just exactly how it was. And like he saw that they were being, like unreliable or not a good person or whatever. And he'd always pick the right person that he fired at the end of the whole show. And
Yeah.
but then it's so much deeper than that. So like
I
even
know.
like what he was doing. He's such a good man.
And the
He is.
projects that they were working on and stuff like that. It's funny you say that because I was thinking of that not too long ago that I needed to revisit those episodes so I could start decoding on
He
those.
truly is though like a father. Like he doesn't always give you
Mm.
the easy way out. He makes you, you know, earn it. He makes you see. And that's why this part of it is like, why can't he just fix it? Why can't this, it's like, no, you have to learn a lesson. You can't
Yeah.
tell people. They have to go through it. They have to go through the pain. Which is
Yep.
why he keeps saying central casting, which cracks me up because I'm laughing. Whenever something bad happens, I'm like, yes.
I know. And
I
everyone
mean,
else looks at us like we're the crazy ones. But I'm like, okay, so how many more coincidences does it take that everything that he said was going to happen has already happened? Some of it had to take a little time. But if you keep denying it,
it's so
people
good.
are just, it's just tearing them
No.
up instead of be like, just let it
Well, even that, we can't be the ostrich anymore and bury your head in the sand. It's
go.
like, pull your
Yeah.
head up, take the bull by the horns. What did you do during this time? Did you
Yep.
sit, and be complicit? Or did you
Yeah.
say, no, you're not doing that? Nope, you're not masking my kids. That's child abuse.
Oh, I
No.
saw a lot of things in New Hampshire. I don't know. I'm just going to talk in code because no one knows about my interview out there. Did you have a chance to look at that or listen to
Oh,
it?
no, I
Don't say,
didn't watch
don't
the
say
whole
it out
thing.
loud though. Don't say like the stuff that, oh, you'll understand why I am the way I am. Like
Yeah,
I would love for you, while you're cooking or something, just listen to it, because honestly, I thought I was going crazy. And then I was like, oh shit, this goes way deeper than I thought. I mean, stuff happening right where I grew up. Like Mike Gill. I mean,
yeah,
he did that his channel is called State of Corruption on YouTube. And this is a great tool for people in New Hampshire where he used to have these huge full color digital signs, girlfriend, right outside of his business called Residential Mortgage. And I remember, and I said this in my other interviews, I just remember when I was clueless to what was going on. I'm like, why does he have pictures of our politicians saying that they're evil cartel people and like, drug dealers and all that? I'm like, dude, that's just not the way to get business to people for people to finance their homes through you. But now it makes sense because everyone drove by those signs. Everyone. So
Right.
it's just another, I believe, well, I know, and that in every state, there are certain big news articles in every town and every state so that it's going to trigger things. They're just a scenario for each person to go back and go, oh, yeah, I remember that. Like one in New Hampshire where a girl, she made national news. She had to dig her way out of a basement of, I should know which town. It was just a couple towns over from me. It was either New Boston or Mount Vernon. And long story short, the girl, her parents were affluent, look like they, and this is what I love is they're breaking the mold so that they can show people that this is happening in those
Oh,
homes. You
oh
never
yeah.
know what's happening.
Very
So
affluent. I mean, it doesn't
they're the
escape
traffickers.
me.
Yeah, they're the traffickers. So
They're
what
all
happened?
connected.
Yeah, she was actually adopted, but the parents had their own children and the children went to school. But I guess when the girl first came to their home, they were already doing really mean, bad things to her, like locking her in the basement and keeping her separated from the family and only like starving her and this and that. But she went to school and then apparently she got in big trouble by them. So she never went back because she reported it to the police. She reported it to the school and everyone overlooked it until she tunneled her way out of their basement. You see what I'm saying? So there's Mike Gill,
Because
there's
it's
that.
tied to the police. I mean, so there's, people that they've been through similar situations where their parents one was the chief of police,
I
like,
just
and,
But
like
there's a
they're
lot of good
connected.
ones in the police too, though, right? I mean,
Well,
they're not all corrupt, right?
yes, and now, I mean, they said that they took out the top 5% of corruption between, like the police, the
Okay,
medical
good.
field, the financial field. I mean, all of the top,
Hmm.
running everything. That's where the head of the beast was taken out. So, the cleanup is going to happen all the way down to the local levels. And so,
That's what's gonna freak people out because they're gonna know people. And it's gonna be just like in the movies and in the news where they interview people and they're like, they seem so nice and like an outstanding citizen, but yet they're doing all this creepy shit. And oh, sorry,
yes.
they're doing all this
Well,
creepy satanic stuff, and I had no idea. Or they were
those
part
are the
of
scary people. Think about that. Like, if somebody's just
traffickers.
mean or rude to your face, that's one thing. But when they're nice and they would just turn around and do this stuff and do it so, like, in a manipulative way, and you think about the way that our government's been and sold
I
out.
already know some in New Hampshire that are going to be at the very tippity top, and I'm going to be like, good, bye-bye.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Then that
that's
has to do with my interview.
yeah.
I keep that
Oh,
private, if you know what I'm saying.
yeah.
Like
Well,
literally my face is blurred out and everything because I
you
just
know
want to,
what
I want to be
though?
protective of
Yes.
certain people.
That's what a lot of the codes that I've been doing are about being protected. And I think there's a lot of
Mm,
people that have been protected and hidden from birth. And,
mm.
there's and I think about the women, and like think about Jesus's descendants and the people that, you know, have been related. Like, where are they? Like, how, and I think that there's a reason for it. So I do think
Yep.
that there's a lot of things that have happened. And that's one thing that I've tried to figure out, like, cause you want to know who you are. Like,
I
not,
know I do. Who was I from another life?
we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be divine and special and have the laminin in our DNA, which looks like
Yeah,
the Holy
that was the
Trinity.
one. That was the one that was shadow banned on my Facebook account.
Oh, the laminin?
Yeah.
Really?
So
Because
that
of the,
just shows you. Well,
Yeah.
speaking of that, I mean, gosh, I could just talk to you all night.
Oh
I
God,
always,
how
I
long have we
just
gone? It's
like, I
already
love
two
this stuff.
hours, right?
I know, I'm so sorry. I appreciate your time though. What was I just thinking?
But you were
Oh,
shadow banned.
could you explain to people about um the Jesus strand? Not in full detail, but what the gist of it is, because I have to play that a lot more times because I get really confused on who's who and but just an overall, what is the Jesus strand?
Well, yeah. So okay, so there's two parts, and the great thing about that, if you want to watch it over and over again, like Jesus Strand 1 and 2, because it
Hmm.
does explain the bloodline, and it explain. I mean,
It's real, is
Abraham
what.
Lincoln,
Yep.
yes, and
It's
his
very
real
real
name.
for our few. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off so
Oh,
quick.
that's
But what I want
okay.
to explain to viewers is down the road, as people start watching these videos, is the Jesus strand is very, very real. And I think a lot of people have forgotten about that. I mean, when you think of Jesus and all that, it's like, okay, so what happened to the rest of. So I think it's just beautifully done.
Well,
Beautifully.
that's it is, and it does break it down. And this is where the funny part comes in, because they did do. Remember on MSNBC, and I don't know if you saw. I forget the journalist's name. And you shouldn't even call him a journalist, a commentator. He was like
Hmm.
poking fun of it, right? But he's like, Donald Trump's
He's
real
going to
father
hell.
is George Patton, and
Oh,
he's like making
I do
fun.
remember. I do
Yeah,
remember that now. Did
but
it
it
come
does
out
show
shortly after
you.
when he addressed at one of his rallies and he brought up Patton, General
Yeah,
Patton?
yeah. I
I
mean,
think that's when it came up, right?
I
Right
mean, you
around
look
that
at
time.
them, they look identical. If you look at
I
General George
know.
Patton and
It's
then Trump. So like
it's so
in
cool.
there is the whole Jesus strand, and Abraham Lincoln's real name is Ibrahim Kaluni. So it's Kaluni, Khalonni, is the Kaluni bloodline. And then so that does break it down, and you start to see like how everyone is connected and related. And
Yeah.
then Donald Trump and Jr. are first cousins, so
Aw.
and then even knowing that the Kennedy brothers were adopted, and they were raised here, and then how they protected the bloodline. But the beautiful thing is that then Michael ties it in and he does the gematria, which explains it, and it's undeniable then. Like
It
you
all
you just
connects the dots with the numbers.
yes. So that's why it's important for people to understand that, because when we keep the truth from everyone, that's what makes it sound so crazy. But
Yeah,
it's like if you learn
that's
that from the beginning, then you're like, it's just that's what makes sense. The other stuff is what doesn't make sense. So when you look at that and you
yeah.
like that's how you were programmed, that's why it's so confusing to accept something that's so simple. It's not that hard. Like
It's so beautiful because I remember when I was going down the rabbit hole, I get these downloads sometimes where I'm just like, okay, I'm listening. All right. And I think we all have those, when we have that connection. And out of the blue one day, I mean, a lot of us that we've been learning over the years that Christmas is not the real birthday. And I remember typing into YouTube, when was Jesus born? And it came up to the springtime. Jonathan Cahn, one of the most recognized biblical scholars in the world, will tell you that. And he specifically tells you that the Vatican openly admits that they changed the Bible over 300 times. And my first common sense question to myself was, why would they want to do that? Why wouldn't they want to keep the authentic story? Why would they want to not let people know? And that's when I was just like, whoa, 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 whoa.
well, then you realize what a threat it is. Like your light is a threat. Your goodness is a threat to those who want to have control over you.
Oh,
And
no one controls me. I'm one
yeah,
of those
I mean,
people, when someone tells me what to do, I've been like this my whole life. Someone tells me what to do, I do the opposite usually.
yeah, but then they make you feel like you're wrong or you're a rebel, but you're not. You
Yeah.
are that's just in you, and that's who we all should be, like that,
Yeah.
and when
Stop telling me
you
what to do. Yeah, like that, except your parents, unless they're tools.
Right. Like, yeah, they wanna protect you, that's one thing, but,
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
think that that's where and why, you think about why was Jesus persecuted, and it's like people were listening to him, they were teaching, they were following him, and he was just a good person,
You're
and
gonna
it's
make
like
me cry when I think about this stuff,
yeah.
you
I mean, and
know?
it's true, and that's why, like, people don't like your light, and, that's why Tracy and I connected too. I was like she's like, "Everybody's always, like, tried to bring me down or give me a hard time or whatever," and
Yeah. Or
you always
gossip about you or pick up the phone with
yeah,
their girlfriends. Oh, like
and
those
she's
are
an
like when
uplifter, like,
I love
like, the
that.
most like, there's not a jealous, mean bone in her body, and that's
Yeah.
why, like, it's rare because you realize how
Yeah.
many people just wanna, like, climb up the ladder or do something and,
Sleep their
and you
way
get
to the top and all
time.
these bad things. I don't know,
Right.
but
But it's like we
yeah.
really should all be good to one another like that, and
Yeah.
that's not gonna come without a price because there's a lot of people that hate that. I mean, there's people
Yeah.
that we think are good on our side that, like, they get jealous over it or mad, like, it's just
Oh.
a thing, and it's rare when you find people that are just genuine and that they just own who they are and you don't second guess. They can just have a
Yeah.
conversation like you and I do. Like
Yeah.
there's no hidden agenda. It's
I
being a
like
good
that.
yep.
Yes. I
So
love the
I
way I feel the same way. I'm like, it's coming and it'll be so nice when people can just, I don't know about you, but the last 5 years, what drives me crazy is because, again, I always watch my surroundings. And what upsets me the most is like, if you're going for a walk and someone's driving by and like literally you can see their face, no one even gives that friendly smile anymore. Like, hi, or a lot of people don't even acknowledge
no.
their neighbors anymore. They don't do anything. That's very rare. And, I'm just like,
I know.
this is
I was
so
like,
boring. You're all so mean. Just
yes.
stop, you
It's
know?
funny. There's this one little it's a little girl and she like has these like her YouTube videos and she's been taped like her mom's done it since she was little, but she's outside and there's like a lady running by and she's like, "Friend, hi friend." And
Oh,
she's like, "You're winning.
yeah.
You're winning at life." And she's
I love your
like,
videos that you post. They always get me in a good mood. Sometimes, we all have bad days and just like the animal videos and the kid videos. I just love it. Or
yeah,
just, you just need that quick little like, oh, I just can't take all
no.
this stuff. And
It's like
yeah.
I used to wake Julia up in the morning and I'm like, "How'd you sleep?" And she's like, "Good." And I said, "Well, what'd you dream about?" And she's like, "Birdies and bunnies." And I'm like, "That's what I
Aw.
want, right?" Like,
Yeah. None of that evil
like,
stuff.
yeah,
Oh, my dreams have always been trippy. Like, I don't
yeah.
understand how I'm finally starting to learn so much about things in life. Like, I thought everyone dreamt at night. And apparently that's not the case. I asked my friends, they're like, I don't really dream. I'm like, what?
I
I
think
thought,
we do though, but we just don't all remember them. You remember your dreams? Like, I don't remember my
oh, they're
dreams.
gone within a couple seconds. And I don't want to
Yeah.
document anything on my computers because they'll be like, she's legit crazy. Like, like literally a lot of times I'm kicking the crap out of evil and I'm like, I'm just like, and then I have like a lot of my soul sisters that I'm like, I just want to see their faces and I want to know who
Right.
they are because
I
we're
know, can
kicking
you
butt up
imagine, like,
there.
all of us being in the same room? Like, it just would be so fun. We gotta plan that. We'll plan a little reunion or something.
I would love that. You're gonna have to come out to Utah or I'm gonna have to go visit you guys. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think we need to go somewhere tropical and warm.
Oh, I'm done with winters.
Yeah.
It just makes you. I'm not a skier. I've never been. I don't want to end up tearing up my knees at this age, unless someone
Right,
gives me a med bed. I don't want to
right,
go through
right.
all that.
I mean, imagine the
Why?
times where we'll be like, "You know what? I'm just gonna leave here because it's a little cold right now. I'll be back in a few months." Like,
Oh,
we'll just go
take
somewhere
me
else.
away now. That would be awesome. Oh, we
Right?
all can dream.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Jill. I really, really appreciate you, and
Thank
thank
you.
you for being a true friend. And I just want to encourage other people to start seeking out their tribe. Enough of the negative, yucky
That's
people, and
it.
make
That's
some
it.
good
It's
things
all about
happen.
God, and I think that we just all need to, like, pray over each other and, like, thank God for all the great things that He's already done, that we don't even know yet, all the things that He's done, and,
I know,
like,
we can't wait. It's
it's
gonna
such
save
a
all the animals
blessing.
too, right? All the rescue animals and stuff.
Yes. Yep, and the children. It's all about the children, and
Oh,
the
I prayed on a star for that for sure. That was
Mhm.
one of my wishes.
Yep. So,
So
and then just creating a better world, and it's gonna come, and it's like the money will come, but it's gonna come when we know we have the discernment to use it the right way for what we wanna do with humanity and create a better world, and I think that these are times where we had to probably learn a lesson and, like, I don't know, be
think about what
patient.
you've done, young lady. I remember
Get in
those
the van,
speeches
trust
growing
the plan.
up. What?
Get in the
What was
van,
that?
trust the plan.
Get in the
That's
van
what
and what?
Get in the van, trust the plan.
Oh, okay. You can come pick me up anytime. I'm ready. Just so you
Yeah,
know,
well,
for the record, I want to get out of here.
that was the thing that we've been saying for the last couple of years. Get in the van, trust the plan.
I gotta put that. Get in the van. That's funny you say that. I remember, oh gosh, I could keep talking forever, so I just don't want to even. I saw that tattoo once on a guy. I was just thinking of something, and he had a tattoo on him. It said "Trust the plan," and I was just thinking of something before. I'm like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah, but maybe, like, just don't get in his van. Not yet.
oh, okay. Well, I'm not gonna go in the clown van. Don't even get me going on that. Remember that old folklore, like when we were growing up doing trick or treating? Not that I should be laughing, but there was some clown guy in a black van. I remember
Well,
those stories
you
growing up. That you don't remember hearing those things? Wow.
I didn't know until recently that Halloween was the biggest satanic, ritualistic thing that they would do. That was their holiday, and I didn't know, like, what they were doing. But
I'm
yeah,
with you on that too. And then once I heard, I'm like, once again, it's in your face.
mhm,
Because that's what all the Halloween movies are about too.
right. That's why I've even told my kids, I'm like, we're taking everything back. I'm like, we're taking back Disney World, we're taking back Halloween, we're taking back all of this craziness,
And
the
get rid of
songs,
all these
the
stupid
music.
holidays that don't even matter. They're just a moneymaker, you
Yeah,
know? Just the
right.
true, real, stop
'Cause
pushing
we've
your
always
stuff.
made it fun anyway. Like, we've always
Yeah.
I mean, even though, like, now I'm like, "Okay, now Christmas is like, that wasn't Jesus's birth." That was not his birthday,
I
But
know. But at least people were together though. And I think that's
getting
the part that
together. Right. I mean,
yeah.
we'll find out the truth, but it's like we just will make everything good again.
Yay. I can't wait. Well, thank you so much. I'm actually going to try to post this tonight. So
Yay.
I'll share it
Alright.
with you. And
You've got
thanks
an
again.
exciting Valentine's Day then, posting your podcast.
Nope, I got nothing going on tonight. That's okay. I'm hanging out with my girls.
Well,
So
I love you to death, and I'm very
thank
proud of you for
you.
everything you're
Aw,
doing and being proactive and doing your show and talking to people and
thank
connecting
you.
everyone. It's so nice, and you're such an
Thank
uplifter and a
you.
positive person, so
Oh,
thank
I
you.
try. Thank you. But I just feel like the more people hear about everyone else's awakening stories, they're going to realize that we're all awakening in different ways and it's really
Yes,
happening. And that I'm
yes.
fascinated by that.
Like, we all have our own little expertise, I mean, I
Yeah.
have the investment firm, and I can do the silver and the gold, and then there's, like, other
Yeah.
people, like Tracy was a Hollywood actress and a school teacher too, and, like, she's got a lot of knowledge around all of that and the acting, and she wants
Oh,
to bring
yeah.
back, like, old school Hollywood, and she's just got an amazing
Oh,
story,
I
and
can't wait. Oh, boy. It's going to be another fun night tomorrow. I love it. I love it.
so
Love it.
well, thank you so much. I'm just, like, I'm honored that you asked me to come on here, and I really
Mm,
appreciate you and everything you're doing with your show, and,
I
like,
appreciate
I just
you.
love it. you just lift people up. So I really think
Oh.
that what you're doing is amazing, and you are a connector, and you're connecting good people together. And I can't wait to meet you in person.
Oh, me too. And I feel the same way about you. Because honestly, I do want to tell you that if it wasn't for you and just listening to you, with negative and on, the channels and so forth, I wouldn't understand everything that was already in my face. So I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm very
In your
honored.
face, 165.
Ah! All right, we could go on and on. So I think you need to go spend some time with your family on Valentine's Day. So I'll
Okay.
send you a copy. If you want to send me your email, I'll send
Oh,
you
yeah.
a copy of it as well.
Okay. Yeah,
Is
I'll
that
send it to
okay?
you right now. Yeah.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right. Bye,
Bye.
Mr. T. Have a good night. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys. This is funny. You're gonna make me pee my pants.
Mwah.
Oh, bye bye.
Bye. Love you.
Love you. Bye.